All right, guys, I am doing it. Doing it here. I came into the studio to shoot this deep dive on top 10 spring notes in a deep dive video form. So I did one of these back in the fall for autumn notes or fall notes. And it's a deep dive format where I chose 10 notes that I felt were very autumnal or reminded me of autumn. And I gave you multiple fragrances from each of the notes that I selected as a top 10 note for autumn. And so I'm doing a similar version here for spring. I somehow skipped winter, but I decided to do one for spring. And what I did with the autumn video also, later on, like a few months after that video had aired, I took the portions of each of the notes and created them as individual videos. So later on down the line, after this video airs unedited, you will see each of the notes as a individual video edited. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can enjoy my top 10 spring notes for spring. These are, I think, notes that are perfect to wear in the springtime, or notes that remind me of spring. So this is a deep dive format, and I've selected 9 fragrances for each of the notes this time. Last time it was 5, so that once we do the videos, edited videos that are cut up of each of the notes, you'll have a few more variety of fragrances rather than just 5. So if you have a favorite note you like to wear during the spring season, let me know what they are. Add a comment below. Also, I've tagged as many of the products as I can throughout the video. So if anything sounds great to you, I have tagged it with the best retailer or discounter that you can buy that fragrance at. So before I start with the fragrances, I do want to let you guys know we have dropped a new Scent Club kit. It's Scent Club kit number 18, and it does feature 3 awesome scents. It's a Liquor BPM from L'Orchestre Parfum, Vava Vanilla from Sarah Baker, and we've got Librado Morphe from Hellenist. So those 3 fragrances are in the kit right now, the latest Scent Club kit, and that is L'Orchestre Parfum Liquor BPM. It's a boozy offering. We've got Vava Vanilla, which is a vanilla, obviously, super sexy, by the way, and Hellenist Librado Morphe, which is a iris focused fragrance. I did not feature either of the fragrances that are in the latest kit for this specific video, but you can wear them if you want. I do have to specify that there are no rules. Wear what you want when you want, but a lot of you do tend to enjoy, sticking to a variety of fragrances that you think are appropriate for that specific season. So that's why I do these videos. But I personally don't have a rule. I might wear fragrances like this that are featured here, or I might wear something that's super strong that might be more winter appropriate. I don't have a rule, as I said, and maybe most of you don't have a rule either, but a lot of you do. So that's why I do these videos, and you can get an idea of what I consider spring like. So we're starting at the bottom of the list. But before I do that, also, I recently checked the deep dive videos playlist that I have. If you're new to the channel, you haven't watched any of my deep dive videos, click to the playlist. It's in the info box, and you can go there and watch the videos. As of now, we have around 5 full days worth of videos in the playlist, meaning when you click on it, you'll be able to watch 5 days through of deep dive videos. Remember, some of these videos are over 3 hours long. So after this video airs, we'll be really close to 5. It was either 5 or 6. I checked last night. I'm kind of still not 100% back to normal, so I kind of forgot. So it's either full 5 hours worth of videos by the time this video airs, or 6. So it's a lot of content. You can let it run for 5 days, come back, and then finally it finishes. So if you love watching fragrance content, discovering notes, perfumers, brands, designers, various styles, and cheap fragrances, luxury fragrances, indie fragrances, niche fragrances, all of that stuff, this is a great channel to discover. you know, niche offerings. Mostly I focus on niche. I do tend to focus on a lot of men's designer, sometimes women's designer offerings as well. And again, if you haven't been watching my deep dive videos, please do. I have a playlist in the info box. So let's get started with the video. We're talking about soft musks for number 10. So musks can go in multiple directions. I decided to leave animalic musks off of this particular video because it is spring. It is a bit warmer out there. You don't want something substantial and intense. So a lot of these are very clean musks. And so I decided to put musks that are appropriate for the season. So some of these can be stronger than others as well. And again, I personally said I don't have a rule. If you do, then use caution. Some of these are stronger than others, and so some are lighter, and so on. The first fragrance I'm talking about is Clean Reserve, and it's called Skin Reserve Blend. I actually shot a shorts video on this. I went into a store to buy a fragrance, and I saw this there, and I really loved it. And I really enjoy these kind of clean skin musks, skin scent musks. And I like the way this fragrance smells off of me. It doesn't project much. It sits very close to the skin. So if you like these kind of fragrances, definitely check this one out. It's a bit floral and slightly vanillic. It has a skin accord and it has a lot of musk. So it's I think it's appropriate for the spring season. Spring is between cold and warm. So I think it's the transition season, and I think this is perfect. Now, you can wear this any time of the year. A lot of people that don't like to wear strong fragrances wear these kind of fragrances all year round. It doesn't project much. As I said, somebody has to get really close to you to smell you. But once it blends with your own chemistry, it smells really lovely. Up next, it's Unmusk from Obvious. Now, I had highlighted that this was at a discounter last fall for $40. So I hope you guys took advantage and bought it. I find this to be super, super sexy. Once again, it's kind of similar to the Clean Reserve Skin Reserve blend, but I find this one to be just a little bit sexier, and it has a certain kind of ingredients that creates this super sexy, you know, sillage. But I'm not talking about like a super strong sillage. It's this kind of a sillage that's going to sit close to you, and if somebody's wearing this and they get close to you, you'll pick it up, because I just find it like the notes that are using in here, like Globalide, they have Helvetalide, Ambertalide, and it's a combination of those with the musky notes and things like that. And again, it's super sexy, really, really sexy. It's clean. It's very, very clean, not animalic, and hopefully there's some discounts out there for this one. And again, it's close to the skin. Excuse me. Excuse me. As I said, it's close to the skin, not super loud, but when somebody gets close to you, they'll smell how great you smell. So it's really, really awesome that way. So that is Unmusk from the House of Obvious. Let me know what your thoughts are on that, and if you were able to jump on the deals that I was speaking about. I actually shot a short video of that particular fragrance, and another one that I'm going to recommend from the house that I also find really great. Both of them were highly discounted, around $40 for 100 ml. And also I did a full video on the discounts as well, because there were some great deals to be had for those fragrances. I'm going to go to Ella K's Musk K next. Let me know your thoughts on this one. This is a Sonia Constant creation. Sonia Constant created fragrances for Tom Ford, like Ombre Leather and Noir Extreme. This is also super sexy. It's a bit floral. It's a bit aquatic marine. It's a bit salty, peppery, but clean and musky. I absolutely really love this genre. Really do. But sometimes these might come off a bit one-dimensional, not super complex. That's why I put it at the bottom. But to me, if I'm ever tired of fragrances, they kind of like, which I never get tired anyway, but if I ever feel weighed down by too much perfume and I still want something, these are the fragrances I pull for. And I also find these to be super awesome to wear in the spring. Those three, the first three that I'm talking about here, are so good. You've got to, I mean, the whole category is really great. Every one of these is awesome for spring, but just keep in mind, these are not very substantial fragrances. So if you want longevity, if you want intensity, if you want projection, if you want sillage, these might not be it for you. But if you like it sexy, musky, clean, and perfect for spring, definitely check these out. The next one is Juliette Has a Gun Musk Invisible. Super powdery musk fragrance. I actually have a full review of this one on the channel. This is almost like baby powder. It's clean, but super powdery. I believe it has cotton blossom, but the overall, it's like very much like a baby powder experience, but with an overdose of musk. There's a little bit of a reminder of something like Kiehl's Original Musk in here, but not. Some people find Kiehl's Original Musk to be super animalic. I personally don't. I found it to be super sexy. I could have featured that here as well. But I felt like these are a bit more appropriate for this particular category for you guys. But this is also really great. Juliette Has a Gun has some great stuff. Lately, they've been a bit bland, but they have launched some really awesome scents. I do enjoy this one quite a bit. And it's cozy also. There's a coziness about musks. And, you know, sometimes I find milky kind of gourmand fragrances cozy. But I also really find musks to be cozy. And the fact that this has that powdery effect really makes it super awesome and super cozy, comforting. So that is Musk Invisible from the house of Juliette Has a Gun. Up next, we've got NOMADE. This is the wrong fragrance. Nothing But Sea and Sky. Yeah, as I said, this category has some awesome scents. And again, I put this at the bottom because I like my fragrances to be a lot more substantial. So some of the other fragrances are ranked higher. But I'm ranking this note as number 10 here. Soft musks. And these are definitely soft musks going into multiple directions. This Nothing But Sea and Sky is clean, almost slightly laundery, but also powdery and a bit creamy woody as well. So it's a musk in the end. Very cozy, very comforting, a bit sweet tart, but that smooth creamy effect is really 100% present here. I love the brand, and recently I aired a video with the founder of NUIT NOMADE. If you haven't caught that video, please do. We did speak about this fragrance as it's one of their most popular Nothing But Sea and Sky. And definitely one of the top for me. I really enjoy that one. I enjoy that brand quite a bit, and I've actually got 2 fragrances back to back. It's definitely one of my favorite brands of all brands I know, and probably my favorite modern French brand. This is Sun Bleached. So Sun Bleached is the second fragrance here in this soft musks category. So this one is a bit more solar, has that kind of solar effect happening. So you do sense or pick up the floral touches in this one quite a bit. It's a bit almost beachy and tropical rather than a bit foggy and gray like the Nothing But Sea and Sky. So you definitely, when you smell them side by side, you definitely have the difference. Even though it's from the same brand and they're kind of similar ideas, there's very noticeable differences. So if you like it a bit more solar, a bit more floral, go for the Sun Bleached. If you want something a bit more gray, a bit more creamy, cozy, go with the Nothing But Sea and Sky. But both of them are really awesome. Again, as I said, I really love this brand. One of my favorite brands out there. And I was so happy and grateful to be able to sit with a founder and discuss the brand. So if you haven't caught that video, please go catch it. It was shot last October in the south of France during a trade show. But I was happy to have been able to sit with the founder. Up next, going to the house of LABO. It's another 13. So this has, actually, when this was an exclusive fragrance for the store Colette in Paris, I had heard a lot about it. And even though I traveled to Paris, I'd walk into Colette once in a blue moon. It would be so crowded in there. I would hate it in there. I'd want to leave because it's just overwhelming with the amount of people there. But I knew that it was an exclusive there. And when I found out Colette was going out of business, I was like, oh my God, are they going to discontinue another 13? Or are they going to bring it to, you know, the main collection? And it was also, well, we got something flying here. It was also launched, actually what I should say, they had also just launched 3 new fragrances exclusively for that boutique Colette. But sadly, those 3 got discontinued, but this one came into the main collection. But this is an earlier fragrance for the brand, Le Labo, although it was like earlier 2010s, I think. And Nathalie Lorson created this. And I think it was around the time when Ambroxan was kind of trying to make a statement. So it does feature Ambroxan, it features ISOE Super, so it's very molecular, very, very musky. It's clean. And this stuff off of people, the projection, and again, it's not like loud, it's not super loud, but the projection is so awesome. In the heat, off of the body, oh wow, so amazing. But I also do get complaints from people. I read comments. All I smell is alcohol. I can't smell anything. I think if you're not familiar with these molecular fragrances, just give it time. Keep practicing. Smell it over and over again. Don't give up. Don't throw it away. You'll get something, because that's my experience too. Like for the first time when I smelled ISOE Super in Molecule 1, which I have coming up, I couldn't smell anything. It took me good 5-6 tries. I didn't give up because people kept pushing me, and they said, don't give up. Don't think, I mean, but you couldn't smell it because there was nothing there. The notes in there, the molecules in there were too heavy. So your nose has to adjust and get used to the smell. But I find another 13 so awesome and so perfect for a spring fragrance when you're transitioning into warmth, when it's been all very cold. But up next also, we've got DS and Durga's I Don't Know What. It's a fragrance enhancer, primer, booster, whatever you want to call it, or a great fragrance to wear on its own. And I always mention this story about this one. This one, I sampled it at Barney's when Barney's was still around here in San Francisco. They went out of business all over the USA. I didn't think anything about it. I was like, this is so boring. But that same year in the summer, I was in LA and I went to Lucky Scent in the DTLA location and I sampled it there. It was like a night and day difference. My nose really smelled it. It smelled so super sexy. I was like, I gotta have a bottle of that. It smells so awesome. You wear it on its own minimalistically. It's clean. It's a soft musk, but it utilizes the molecular musky notes like Ambroxan, ISOE Super. There's other notes in there as well, but those are, there's also musks, and I think there's Civetone. It's an awesome creation. I think you can use it to enhance other fragrances, but if you're somebody that likes fragrances like Molecule 1, you guys should try it for sure. It's a really awesome scent. So that's also an awesome soft musk, but let's end this list with Musk Therapy from Initio for something a bit more substantial, but still definitely fitting of this category. This is a very clean musk fragrance, but it has those fruity touches because it has fruity notes in here. It's a berry type notes, but in the end, it's super clean white musk, or like a white musk, I should say. There's also a smooth, creamy layer here. That maybe there's some sandalwood or the musks are creating that creamy layer. Also, it's powdery. And of course, you've got that fruitiness, which makes it a bit a contrast with the creaminess, the woodiness, the muskiness. It's very clean. It's also perfect for warmth. Now, I should specify that maybe this category you should save for warmer spring days. But like I said, there's no rules. Wear what you want when you want. Wear it in the coldest days of spring or warmest days of spring. It doesn't matter. As long as it makes you feel great, wear what you want. But I find this category, again, to be very close to the skin and not the super loudest fragrances, but like as a category, I really love this category, and I really enjoy these 9 fragrances that I've featured here in this category. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Do you wear them? And what would you add to the category as well if you were putting this list together? Do add a comment below. And so let's move on to the next category. So next I do have something flying in here, sadly. It's a bummer. Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of a fruit fly situation happening here. Anyway, up next, we're talking about light woods. So this is the 9th note that I consider perfect for spring. And I'm going to go with light woods. I don't want to go with fragrances or woody fragrances that are super deep, heavy, dense. But light woods, blonde woods are the kind of woody fragrances that I want to highlight in this category. And of course, I'm going to start first with ISOE Super, which is a cedar type situation, with the fragrance Molecule 1 by Eccentric Molecules, with the new 200 ml bottle. I think it's 200 ml, or maybe it's 150 ml. I can't remember. I think it's 150 ml. I'm forgetting. I apologize. My brain's not all there. Well, maybe it says on the side here. Let's look. It is 200 ml. Right there. Yep, 200 ml. This is the 20-year anniversary of Molecule 1, by the way. So early on, I used to have little get-togethers with people that were not into fragrance. People used to fall in love with Molecule 1 because they were not into fragrance. And they would say, I don't smell anything, but they would keep trying, and then eventually they would, like 9 out of 10 times, people wanted a bottle of that. This was also during the days of Barney's, and some of these people shopped and frequented Barney's, so they would end up buying bottles there. What I like about this, and I think I'm doing this out of order. I should have gone with the other fragrance first, but it's okay. What I like about this, it's so minimalistic, but it's weird when I see people that I know that are wearing it, or just some random stranger that might be wearing this, I can totally smell it off of them, especially if they've piled a lot on and it's also on their clothes, because as they're moving around, I pick up whiffs of the key ingredient in there, and the only ingredient in here, ISOE Super, which is cedarwood, sandalwood combo with a, like it's woody, it's a bit creamy, it's a bit musky, and so you've got this combo in one ingredient, one molecule. That's why it's called Eccentric Molecules. And this is Molecule 1, highlighting the ISOE Super. So a lot of fragrances do feature ISOE Super as a base note. This is a base note, and it's to replace the usage of cedarwood. And some people, just like Ambroxan, don't care for ISOE Super. Might be too much for them, but I actually really love it. And for me, normally cedarwood is not so creamy like sandalwood. That's why I always say this has some sandalwood touches in it. It's mostly cedarwood, but I think because it has that creaminess, I feel like it's a combo. What do you guys think? But this is a perfect light woods situation for a fragrance. It's Molecule 1 from Eccentric Molecules. Definitely a fragrance that you should try if you want to wear something perfect for spring that's on the woody side. But next I'm going back to the obvious Parfums brand. We've got En Bois. Then, I recommended on Musk for the musk situation, or the soft musks category. Now we've got En Bois. So I actually did shorts videos for both of these while the discounts were happening. Both of them are my 2 favorites from the house. I really love them. They're minimalistic. They're also musky. But this En Bois is more woody, of course, because it's called Bois is wood. But it's kind of acting a bit like Eccentric Molecules, but not so minimalistic like Eccentric Molecules. In fact, you can layer the two together to prolong the life of the fragrance, but because it complements one another, because I believe En Bois is featuring like ISOE Super in it, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like the main note of ISOE Super is in En Bois, in addition to other notes, musks and other woods. So the two together, I think, would be a perfect combination. I forgot to silence my phone. I mean, my watch. All right. But really sexy also. It's a super sexy, musky, woody fragrance. I like these kind of woody fragrances. I'm kind of bored with, I like aromatic woods more than just straight woods. Like, they just can get boring. So I like pine, I like cypress, even juniper. They're a bit more exciting because they have all that aromatic effect. Even vetiver I find to be pretty interesting, but when it's just like cedar, sandalwood, sometimes they get really boring. But this En Bois is so awesome, and I think it's perfect for spring. Check it out. Hopefully you can find a discount on that one. Up next, going to the house of commodity. It's paper, the personal, the minus. Look at that. I love this. This is also very similar in this kind of a category of fragrances. It's the personal Scent Space. I think it's called Scent Space. This collection, yep, Scent Space Personal right here. And so the white is the personal, so it's meant to be enjoyed by you. It doesn't have too much projection. People have to get close to you. And paper is a musky, woody offering that's perfect as a, light woods effect for spring. But you've got molecular notes in here. You've got musky notes and and also wood. So those are basically what's running the show. So we started out with the light, soft musks. Now we went to light woods. And some of these are a bit more complex than others. Wait until you see. But I think these are pretty appropriate to wear all throughout spring. Now, this is a most recent pickup for me from the house of BYREDO. I found a great deal. It's Super Cedar. Super Cedar, I think, is a very popular offering from the house. Do you guys think that? And I'm also trying to work on doing a deep dive on BYREDO. It's going to take me some more time. But the realistic smell of cedar is here. It's like cedar, what do you call it? Like a plant that cuts trees and creates those wooden pieces from the trees. It smells just like that, but with a BYREDO kind of DNA. So it's super woody. It's a bit wood chip like smell. And again, if you ever worked in a carpentry shop, which I had in junior high actually, and you have that smell, they're perfectly like captured in your mind. And when you smell things like this, it reminds you of it. There's a little bit of a tang in here, like a tanginess. I think there's some citruses, but to me, it's all wood shop. Reminds me of wood shop, the wood shop class I had when I was very young. I like that. I do like that. I'm glad to have it here. I'm kind of going back to some of the older BYREDOs, like also Gypsy Water is another fragrance that I recently spoke about in a video. But next, going to Diptyque's Tam Dao. I was going to highlight EDT, but I thought I had a bottle of EDT. I don't seem to have it, but I think the EDP should be fine. It's just, more concentrated. But I find Diptyque's Tam Dao to be one of the finest examples of sandalwood. Like, it literally, pays tribute to the sandalwood. Doesn't add too much effects in there to kind of contrast against the sandalwood, but I think for a fragrance that represents sandalwood in its finest form, it's definitely the one you should try. And again, the difference between the EDT and the EDP, the EDP is higher concentration, so longer lasting, more oil, so longer lasting. The EDT is fresher, which again, there's no rules. I wanted to feature the EDT, but we've ended up with the EDP. But it's a great sandalwood offering, I think. I don't know if you guys are aware or familiar with this, but Tam Dao, really awesome. And this next fragrance might be a bit difficult to get, sadly. Atelier Cologne Cedre Atlas. This is another fragrance that I spoke about on the shorts side of this channel. When I found stock out there, it's really, really awesome cedar fragrance that's on the fresh side. That's why I think it's really perfect for spring. I love the way this smells. It's kind of a bit more like Un Bois, maybe a bit like Paper Minus. There's a gentle quality about it, and I think it's the fact that it's lots of cedar that's freshened up with citruses, if that makes sense. So there's a bit of tang there, like a tartness, but it's so good. I really love it. And I don't know what's going on with this brand. No mention of ever coming back to the States, even after I saw their store in Beijing when I was in Beijing. I can't remember if not Super Cedar, but Cedre Atlas was available at the Beijing store, but that's definitely one of their best. It's the kind of woody fragrance that I like, and I would wear that when it's warm outside because you can wear it so liberally without even overwhelming yourself, because it smells really clean, really fresh, a bit tart, like I said, but lots of woods. Super awesome. But you know, a lot of these fragrances, the soft musks and the light woods, are perfect also like office wear if you don't want super strong fragrances and people, I guess sensitive people, to complain about you wearing fragrances. Definitely check out these fragrances for that kind of a situation. But hopefully you can find Atelier Cologne Cedre Atlas, because I find that to be so awesome. A great freshie from that house. Next, I'm going but I'm going to a more indie niche house, Mabelle Orama Lunar Dust. You guys know this house? I have a video on the channel with the founder of this brand if you want to discover this brand. This is cedar wood for sure. It's also got white woods, amber, and iris, and it's so cocooning and so, I love the way it smells. It's a bit molecular, so I get some vibes of Molecule 1, maybe a little bit of MUSK, maybe a little bit of Un Bois, Paper, Super Cedar. All of those fragrances come to mind, but there's a cocooning effect. I think the iris creates that kind of cocooning effect that makes it super huggable and cozy. Really awesome that way. But you know, also, I haven't ever thought of it this way, but maybe like rice powder or even something like milk. Like there's a powdered milk effect happening in this as well. I think all because of the different notes that are in here. Really great scent. I think it's my favorite from this house for sure. Lunar Dust. Let me know what your thoughts are on Lunar Dust from Mabelle Orama. Up next, going to the house of Celine. It's Bois Dormant. A bit more substantial than all the other woody fragrances or the light woods fragrances. But also, I wouldn't say this is super potent or beast mode. It's a bit spicy. It's a bit powdery. It's got the Celine DNA for sure. I think it's really nice. I think the way they did it. It's a bit sweet. It's a bit peppery. For sure powdery and lots of woods. There's a texture in this that's not sharp like some woody fragrances are. And I feel like it's the fact that the brand uses a lot of orris. So gives it a bit more, a creamier, smoother texture rather than sharp. So that also adds a layer of coziness, I think. It's not my #1 favorite from Celine, but I think it's a really awesome scent if you like fragrances that lean woody. Let me know if you're a fan of Bois Dormant. Add a comment below. Last fragrance in the category, we've got Ivory Sky from Perfume. So this is woods, vetiver, and a little bit of a molecular effect like Baccarat Rouge happening in here. And it's a bit more of a younger offering, but this thing leaves a trail that's super sexy, I think. So if you like the idea of fragrances like Baccarat Rouge, 540, with an overdose of vetiver and woods, that's one you should try. The vetiver is pretty prominent in this. There might even be a little bit of patchouli also. But I love that. It smells great. It's not as expensive as some of the other fragrances, although I do have a pretty, well, some of them are more expensive than others, but Ivory Sky by Perfume is not a super expensive fragrance. But what I love about that is that trail it leaves. It's a sexy trail. And I think it's perfectly appropriate for spring weather. So that is Perfume's Ivory Sky. All right, so we are moving on to the number 8 note. So we did soft musks, light woods. Now we're going to tea. And you're wondering, if you watched the autumn video that I had tea in that video, I do find tea to be two different kinds, you know, like more substantial tea fragrances for the autumn, ones that are laced with spices and things like that. But there's also the airy, cleaner kind of tea fragrances that I think are more appropriate for spring. And I've got a pretty awesome collection of tea fragrances here. And we're going to start off with Bulgari's Thé Blanc. So I still have the Eau de Cologne edition of this fragrance. Recently, this and also Thé Vert were converted to Eau de Toilette. I don't know why the brand decided to do that, but all along, these have been around since the early to mid 90s, and as eau de colognes, and the brand decides to change them to eau de toilettes. I don't know. But Thé Blanc is a Jacques Cavalier creation, and it's my favorite between the Thé Vert and the Thé Blanc. It's a bit smoother. It's a bit more embraceable. I like the powdery effect. Is cleaner, it's a bit soapier, and there's something about the Thé Vert from Bulgari that kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why, but it almost like it's stuck in powder and it kind of evaporates right away. This at least clings on a little bit and I could smell it longer. I don't know if that's the way to explain what I'm experiencing, but I like the way this smells. I just don't know what they've done with it now that they've converted it to eau de toilette. But I think this is a great tea scent for spring. But obviously, you guys know eau de colognes don't last as long, so you're gonna have to replenish this over and over again. Hopefully, they have not changed the smell too much since they converted it to an eau de toilette, because when they change concentrations, the smell changes, and hopefully it's got a better longevity now that it's been intensified. But I really love it. It's more like a gentle take on tea. It's a Thé Blanc from Bulgari. Thé Blanc. I'm going to the House of Prode next. Green tea, created by Quentin Biche. I did a video on the collection of tea fragrances from Prode. It's a Thai brand. And green tea is a favorite of mine. Green tea is so bright and happy. It's got, oh my God, it's so good. It's definitely got the signature Quentin Biche DNA. I think this could fall somewhere between Fleur Narcotique, Neroli Amara, fragrances like that. So if you like fragrances like that and you like Quentin Biche's creations, this is definitely one for you to try. Really love it. It's fresh, citrusy, a bit powdery, but very beautiful. Very beautiful. So that's Prode's green tea. My favorites from this collection, there's 4 of them. There's a red tea, I think, which I don't care for. Black tea is number 3. And this one and the white tea are my favorites, but this one actually is kind of creeping up to be a bit more of a favorite than the white tea, but all along the white tea was my favorite because it was a bit more gourmand leaning, but I like the freshness on this one. Green tea from Prode. Now I am throwing this one in here as well. It might be a bit dark for spring, but it's a molecular fragrance. I'm going to throw it in because it's black tea. It might be smoky, and I felt like black tea fragrances should be more autumn, green tea, white tea for red tea for spring, but I think this is fine. It's molecule 1 plus black tea. And so it's basically this fragrance, molecule 1, with the addition of black tea in the note. And this has gotten quite dark since I got it. So it's cedarwood, sandalwood with the addition of black tea. So it's a bit dark and smoky, very woody, but it's also minimalistic. It's not super complex. It's not going to overwhelm. You've got that cozy smell of the black tea in here with that slightly creamy, dusty, muskiness of the ISOE Super. It's perfect on its own, but you can also use it to enhance fragrances, both of them. Maybe you thought you want to, I don't know, as I was saying earlier, you can use molecule 1 with Un Bois, but maybe you want to use this for another fragrance I have here called Tea and Rock and Roll. So it'll enhance it. You can do that with these fragrances. But let's move on next to Van Cleef & Arpels, speaking of Neroli Amara, which is sort of similar to green tea from Prode. This is not Neroli Amara, this is Thé Amara from Van Cleef & Arpels. Kind of a green-leaning tea fragrance. Green, as in green notes, not necessarily green tea. But it's super fresh and a bit minty. Super cozy, very fresh, a bit vegetal, a bit watery. I don't know why, but I'm getting cucumber as well. Like I said, the wateriness, like it's a bit ozonic. But it's super fresh, super fresh. I think green notes are appropriate for spring, and this is acting very green. And I've got 2 green categories in here in a little bit. We've got green floral notes and green notes specifically. I love green fragrances, and I just feel like green is spring, you know? Everything's gone green. And you've got to have green fragrances. And this is acting very green for a tea fragrance. And I think it's the fact that there must be some ozonic notes like violet leaves, and there's also mint in here. So it's acting a little bit like Nishane's Ege, but it's more like a green tea with those notes. So Thé Amara from the house of Van Cleef & Arpels. Let me know your thoughts on that. Next, we've got Tea and Rock and Roll from Voyage Imaginaire. And if you thought that this was a bit, this is an all-natural brand, by the way, if you guys don't know, I should say. I have a video shot with the founders of this brand. And the founders of that brand, one of them is the daughter of Annick Goutal, who was with Annick Goutal, or Goutal Paris now. And the other founder of Voyage Imaginaire is Isabelle Doyen, who is a perfumer, or was a perfumer at Annick Goutal. So they did this fragrance. It's a sort of creamy, but fresh and invigorating kind of a take on tea. It's super cozy, a little bit spicy, and it's just very happy and joyful, I think. It gives me that kind of an energy. I've been drinking a lot of tea lately. I've been hanging out at home working on a project quite a bit, and also been sick, and I've been making tea, and I have this awesome container of Mariage Frère tea. It's called Rushka. So it's basically a type of Earl Grey, super intense bergamot in there. And when I smell this fragrance from Voyage Imaginaire called Tea and Rock and Roll, it reminds me of me opening up that container of Ruchka tea from Mariage Frere and what I smell in the canister. That's what it reminds me of. It's so like I kind of want to have a cup of tea right now, but that's so good. It's really, really great in the fragrance with the tea notes and everything. But as I was saying earlier, since it is an all-natural fragrance, you can, combine these two together and enhance one another. Let's do it. Let's do it right now on camera. So if you're ever going to enhance anything with Molecule 1 fragrances, not the eccentric fragrances, but the Molecule fragrances, but most importantly, the Molecule 1, Molecule 2, Molecule 4, and all of the flankers of Molecule 1 like black tea, there's the ginger, there's the gaiac, there's the iris, patchouli, mandarin. So you layer down the Molecule 1 first. So spritz that down and let it dry a little bit. So basically you're boosting up Voyage Imaginaire Tea and Rock and Roll with woods, the cedarwood sandalwood combo, and also black tea. And this is a tea focused fragrance. The combo works. It works great actually. Oh wow. So yeah, it changes the smell a little bit. I think it alters the smell because Molecule 1 plus black tea is the ISOE Super plus the black tea smell. And the black tea smell in there did not smell like the black tea in, or the tea in Tea and Rock and Roll. So it does enhance the smell. But you do have a bit more, intensity here with the two together. And so it enhanced the smell, or it changed the smell a little bit. But what happens with this is it boosts it up a little bit as well. It prolongs the life of the fragrance a little bit. So that is a great combo right there. Tea and Rock and Roll and Molecule 1 plus black tea together. So up next, going to a house called Nisaba. This is Choco. This is Nisaba Choco. I actually have a video on the channel with the perfumer of this fragrance, shot in Grasse, France. If you're curious to learn about Nisaba and also ingredients that come from the south of France, like lavender, search for those videos. This is a tea and, what do you call it? I'm drawing a blank. Petitgrain. So a lot of aromatics, lots of mate, green tea, earthy notes, and aromatic notes to create this very interesting combination of aromatic and fresh ingredients with kind of a grassy tea effect happening. And in the heat, this stuff shines so much. It smells so great, so realistic. And the brand pays tribute to certain parts of the world rather than countries. Like this is Paraguay, I think. And I think also because that's where we get a lot of petitgrain note. And so they have featured the ingredients that come from these kind of areas. But the fragrance itself is so awesome. Check it out. Definitely one of my favorites. And it's a more aromatic and herbal take on the tea-focused fragrances. And I'm saying a tea and aromatics because there's a lot of the mate that they're using in here is very grassy. Like you can really experience the grassiness of the mate. So very great. It's fresh, invigorating, and also green leaning. So that is Choco from Nisaba. The only store that sells that brand in the States is Scent Room. Scent Room in LA and Dallas. So if you ever are there, are looking for that brand, tell them Sebastian sent you. Up next, going to the house of Parfums de Nicolai, we've got Fig Tea. Fig Tea is a fun fragrance from Nicolai. probably one of their more popular fragrances. 9 out of 10 times people mention this fragrance for this house. It's a fruity take on tea. Once again, perfect for spring. All of these fragrances are perfect, I think. And these are also a bit more substantial, so you can also wear them when it's a bit cooler outside, because the soft musks and the light woods were a bit more skin scenty, so maybe warmer days, but there's some substance here with these fragrances, so you can pull them out when it's cooler outside. But they would smell really awesome in warm weather, I think, too. But the Nikolai is a fun, happy, playful tea style fragrance. Fruity. The fruitiness in fragrances always adds this layer of fun and playful happiness. I don't know if you guys get that with fruity fragrances. I do. And that gives me that kind of a vibe when I smell it. But next, probably one of the most popular tea fragrances on the market. It's a Oolong Cha from Nishane. Definitely deserving of all the hype that it gets because people really love it. This wasn't one of the first fragrances that I wore from this brand, but better late than never. I really enjoy it now. It's super cozy, super fresh, green leaning, but definitely one of the best tea fragrances out there on the market. I agree. People love it for a reason because it's so good. I do get the grassy effect in this one as well. Sometimes that's what I get with tea. There's an aromatic grassiness, like it's almost like dried grass, like lawn or something. I'm not talking about marijuana. We do have a fragrance that has cannabis here in a little bit, but that's what I get with tea sometimes, and it's a bit grassy. Mostly in Choco. Choco is very green tea grassy, but I get it with the Oolong Cha as well. I love that. It's so good. It reminds me a little bit also of Ambra Calabria. Ambra Calabria is here on this list, I believe, in this video, I should say. But they're so different. It's just the greenness that's giving me that kind of a vibe. Let me know if you're a fan of Oolong Cha. I think it's awesome. So last fragrance in the tea category we're going to talk about is Sunday Brunch from the house of Kirin NYC. This is definitely my favorite fragrance from the house. I love its super coziness, and I love the name too, Sunday Brunch. It's a great time to go have brunch and, in this case, drink some tea, I guess. So it's a bit lemony. It's smooth, a little bit creamy, but a lovely, laid-back kind of a tea-focused fragrance that's super fresh. I think it's created by perfumer Matthew Nardan. And I fell in love with that right as I smelled it for the first time. Yeah, I like the burst of sunshine with the citruses that's featured there. Really wonderful. Are you guys a fan of the brand? I think we featured this recently in a mystery box. But I love this fragrance. Let me know what your thoughts are on Kirin NYC. And that's the last fragrance for the tea category. We're done with the 8th note of tea. Let's move on to... What are you guys guessing? We're going with aromatic herbs next. Yes, I do consider aromatic herbs to be a great note for spring. Everything starts blooming, popping from the ground. The fragrance, I mean, I went to Whole Foods a couple days ago to get some soup, and I walked by the plant section or the flower section, and all I could smell are the hyacinths. And when I smell hyacinths, I think of spring. Like, literally, that is the smell of spring to me. Because when they put them out, I envision, like, flowers blooming, spring taking over. And so when I smelled it, I was like, oh my God, I got to do a spring video. So this was earlier in the week because I was sick with the flu. And so at that time, I decided I got to do a deep dive for Saturday. What am I going to do? And of course, I couldn't make it for this Saturday. So better late than never today. But I consider aromatic herbs to be a great note for spring. But going back to the hyacinth, I do have a section of spring flowers here, and I think there might be one fragrance that features hyacinth. Is one of my most favorite smells in the world. For me, spring flowers are some of my favorites, especially when it comes to lily of the valley, hyacinth, and lilac. Love those smells. Anyway, let's get started with the aromatic herbs. First is Torino 21 from Xerjoff. By the way, I just aired another video shot on location in Cannes during TFWA with Sergio Momo, the founder of Xerjoff. As I said in yesterday's video, I had so many videos that had piled on that I hadn't gotten, through to editing them and airing them. So they were just backed up because, when you shoot such long videos and they require editing, you have to physically take time and edit them. And so laying around, I kind of did that. So there will be a few more videos launching soon that have been sticking around since the autumn and fall and late summer. So wait for those videos. And I apologize for them being late, but it's just when you're caught up with a lot of stuff, it takes time to edit. And as I was saying in a lot of videos, like especially this video, I'm not editing this, but sometimes when you're shooting on location, those videos do require editing because there's interruptions and things like that. So you got to cut all that crap out. And also on location is always very, very noisy. And the Xerjoff video was so noisy. I couldn't believe it. Like when we were shooting it, I didn't realize it was so noisy, but we sat so far away from the camera, although we had microphones, but it just came out noisy. But going back to Torino 21, it's their best Torino fragrance, I think. First and the best. What do you guys think? This to me is green and aromatic, lots of aromatics, but also gives me lemon tea vibe. Like when I was very young, my grandmother, my dad's mom, used to drink her tea with lemons in it. I personally can't stand lemon tea, but I kind of like the way it smells here. And it reminds me of that tea my grandmother used to have. Like tea that's boiled, the water boiled with the tea, like really super dense, and a big squeeze of lemon in it. So you've got the flavor, that hot water that's, become tea with the tea that's in there. And then of course the intense amount of lemons. And then this also has the mint, and I believe there's basil, and there's also lemongrass in this. So it's super lemony. It's also super herbal. And I think it's a great offering for spring and summer. This is Xerjoff in the end, and their fragrances are long-lasting. And this is also an eau de parfum, but it has great lingering power. But I'm also going to recommend another fragrance that's sort of similar. We've got Acqua di Parma's Buongiorno. I'm going to do a side-by-side here. Let's compare these two. I just lost my strip, though. Let's smell this first. Buongiorno. A lot of people say, well, this, when I first smelled this at Neiman Marcus, it did remind me of Torino 21. There's a reminder for sure. Not identical. Why am I getting apples from the Acqua di Parma? Wow. It's almost like taking Torino 21 and adding apples, green apples, but keeping the mint and everything else that's in Torino 21. That's what I'm getting the difference here. Otherwise, it's quite similar. Which do you guys prefer? Buongiorno from Acqua di Parma or Torino 21 from Xerjoff? There's an underlying earthy layer with the Torino 21 as well. That's not present in the Torino 21. Wait, did I say that right? There's an underlying earthiness with the Buongiorno in comparison to the Torino 21. But I'm getting apples. There's also a bit of musk with the Torino 21 that I don't get from the Buongiorno. Side by side, you'll notice differences. Not side by side, you'll be reminded of one another. I can't decide which I like more. I kind of like like when I smell the Buongiorno, when I'm reminded of that green drippy apple, the juicy apple, kind of gives me this like exciting, kind of more energizing feeling. Also a bit more fun and playful. Yeah, they're both good. Which is your favorite? So is it Torino 21 or Buongiorno? Let me know, add a comment below. So we are in the aromatic herbs category. We are also talking about J.U.S's Icy Fizz. You guys know this one? This is a very modern fougere. This is also tea, and it could have been in the tea video. But we've got aromatics and tea together here. It's also ice cold. That's why it's called Icy Fizz. It's clean. It's aromatic for sure. It's a bit fougere-like. It's icy. And a bit cozy with the tea. I think it has a tea note called Longjing tea. But if you like cooling fragrances, you've got to try that. And of course, also, if you like the idea of a fougere, very modern fougere, it doesn't remind me of classic fougères. Even it doesn't remind me of more modern fougères like Beau de Jour, things like that. This is a super, super modern smelling kind of style of fougere. But it's Icy Fizz from J.U.S. Let me know your thoughts on that. Perfect, I think, for spring. Next, we're going to the house of Astier de Velat. This is MANTES-LA-JOLIE. Wow, I can't believe how good this fragrance is. Yeah, I think I'm going back to France here in April. It'll be my very first trip to Europe since visiting China in October and New York in November. I might stop into that store again, but if you like green fragrances, herbal fragrances, minty fragrances, basil forward fragrances, you've got to try this. This is so yummy. It's almost like a salad. Not a salad with the dressing, but imagine putting a bowl of ingredients for a salad, but all the vegetables and herbs rather than, you know, dressing it with the dressing. The smell of what's in the bowl before it's dressed, that's what it smells like. But you're making a salad not just with greens, but also with herbs. So it's kind of green and vegetable-y, or vegetal, I should say, and herbal and aromatic together. It's so good. So, so good. Makes me happy. And it's a total awesome spring fragrance. But this is Astier de Velat. It's a ceramic brand. And they have an awesome store in Paris. If you ever make it, you've got to go to the Rue Saint-Honoré and go to their store. Not only check out their fragrances, but you also have to check out their ceramics because they're so amazing. Really pricey, really awesome stuff. But yeah, you've got to check them out because they're really, really great. And that's one of the best. I have two other fragrances from the house, two created by Dominique Ropion. I keep forgetting the name of the perfumer for MANTES-LA-JOLIE. But the other two are a bit more deeper. One's a violet iris. The other one's an amber. This one is like super spring and summer style. All right, next, going to the house of Rogue Perfumery. We've got Mousse Illuminée for the aromatic herbs or herbal section. We've got herbs in here, but we also have other aromatic notes. Like we've got oak moss. It's mossy for sure, but super aromatic and green. This is also very, very intense, like super concentrated. So if you, it's so good though, really great. There is a slight licorice-y touch here. It's almost like absinthe with like you've spritzed on a ton of Drakkar Noir in the 80s and you've stopped into a store to have, like, not a store, but a restaurant to have absinthe. So you're smelling the Drakkar Noir fougere-like notes together with this very fragrant absinthe that you're about to consume. That's what I get with this. So good though. We featured that in a not a mystery box. We actually featured this in a regular Scent Club kit like this, going on almost 2 years ago. We do have a few more left of the sprayers of those. If you guys haven't ever tried Mousse Lumine, definitely recommend you to try that one. And speaking of fougere, we've got wait, this is not the right fragrance. Sorry. This is Room 1015's Sweet Leaf. So I do have this one here that represents cannabis, and I consider cannabis to be an aromatic herbal kind of note. It's very camphor though, but very aromatic. Spicy, a bit bitter, very green, a bit pulpy, juicy in there as well. But the cannabis is so distinct. And I think maybe this was not a good recommendation because cannabis can be a bit polarizing. There's a certain kind of a smell with cannabis that reminds me of something a cross between oregano and another herb, which I can't remember the name of. Is it thyme or is it something like that? Like if you smell cannabis, it reminds me of several herbs combined together. And you get that here, like realistically, against citruses and pulpy ingredients. So that is a Sweet Leaf. Great green color bottle. Let me know if you've tried that. But up next, Zoologist Perfumes Dodo, the Jackfruit edition. And this is in a recent kit number 16 for Scent Club. And when I spoke about this, I was surprised at how great this is because I didn't really care for the original Dodo, and I think this is the 3rd version. But what this perfumer did to this is really, really awesome. This is perfumer Yves Cazard. Green and tropical fruity take on fougere. Barbershop-y fragrances. I like that a lot. In fact, I love it. So it's a bit old school, but also very modern at the same time. But super, like there's reminders of things like Bracken Man from Amouage, which is discontinued. Fougere Royale from Houbigant. Beau de Jour from Tom Ford. Maybe a little bit of Sartorial from Penhaligon's. Does remind me of fragrances like that. I'm not saying it's identical because this has the jackfruit, which is a very fruity tropical ingredient, which does show up quite a bit, but it's swimming in that fougere DNA that I absolutely love. I grew up with fougères. I love fougères a lot. I don't just love gourmands, by the way, but I do love gourmands a lot too. All right, let's move on to Amouage. Speaking of Bracken Man, but I didn't feature Bracken Man. I am featuring Beach Hut Man for the fact that it's got an overdose of mint, but it also has the ivy note, which to me, it's one of the most original smells from Amouage. The way this smells, I just love. Really, really love. Wait, no, this is the wrong fragrance. I'm sorry, guys. This is Sunshine Man. Sorry. It is Sunshine Man. Let me pause the video. That was kind of strange. I'm like, wait, that doesn't smell like Beach Hut Man. And then sure enough, I was like, it was warming up to the, because it has Immortelle. It was getting kind of caramelly, sweet. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be Sunshine Man. I got to put that away. I think Sunshine Man is discontinued, or has it been brought back? But either way, Beach Hut Man is this. And Beach Hut Man is one of the most unique smells for me. Very original. I haven't smelled anything like this before or after. I love that. It's so unique. The ivy and mint combo together is so original. You know, I love Interlude Man, but Interlude Man is not very easy to wear. I think this is much easier to wear. It's so good. It's so, so good. Has the formula changed on this? Does anybody know? This stuff is so yummy. Ivy is a note that is not featured in fragrances a lot. There's an actual fragrance from Diptyque called ATELIER, which focuses on the ivy. It's an eau de toilette, so it's not super strong. It's another fragrance that I really love, but I like this one a lot more because this is a lot more substantial. The Beach Hut Man and the combo with the mint. I love that. So good. So unique. But perfect spring. But again, this is Amouage. It's a lot more potent. Some of the fragrances we were talking about from the last few fragrances, they are a lot stronger. So just be warned. But I'm assuming you guys don't have problems with wearing super strong fragrances for spring. But the last fragrance in the aromatic herbs category is a fragrance from Diptyque. This is Geranium Odorata. Probably one of the best geranium-focused fragrances, I think. Just that it's an eau de toilette. It's not super strong or intense. But they're really paying tribute to the geranium here. That's good. So geranium, very interesting ingredient. It's an herb with flowers. Well, a lot of herbs do have flowers. But when you put your nose to this fragrance, just study it, like literally study it. Do you get mint from it? Do you get rose from it? Because the geranium has those, you know, nuances. Like you can pick up a little bit of rose from it. You can pick up a little bit mint from it. It's a minty kind of herbal rose. It's a rosy kind of minty, geranium-y kind of mint, I should say. But you get that here. And basically, that's what you're smelling here. If you like fragrances like Rose and Queer, which I could have put here, but it's super strong compared to this. This is, I think, more spring appropriate. You get a little bit of the touches of that fragrance here, minus the fact that Rose and Queer settles to a leather. This is just aromatics and spices and woods. But again, a fine example of geranium fragrance. One of the best, I think. It's just sad that it's only an eau de toilette, but it's perfect when it's warm outside. And again, going back to that ivy focused fragrance from Diptyque, it's called ATELIER. I don't think ATELIER is widely distributed, so you probably have to go to a Diptyque boutique to find it. A lot of stores that carry Diptyque products don't usually have them. There was also the rumor that ATELIER was getting discontinued. It never did, but I don't know if it has. I've actually stopped talking about Diptyque fragrances. I haven't been excited about Diptyque for a while, unfortunately. Nothing has come out that's really excited me as of late. So let's see what happens with Diptyque next. But we ended aromatic herbs with Diptyque's Geranium Odorata. All right, next, we're in the green flowers category. Yes, green flowers are some of my favorite flowers. I love green flowers more than regular flowers. Well, like tuberose, gardenia, jasmine, magnolia. I love green flowers. It's one of the reasons why I love Synthetic Nature. So the first fragrance we're going to talk about is Synthetic Nature. It's got Lily of the Valley, and it has other green notes in it. And it also used to be called Synthetic Jungle, but sadly they changed the name. But definitely, it's become a top 5 favorite of mine from the House of Frederick Malle. This gives me also tomato leafy vibes. It reminds me a little bit of Diptyque's L'Ombre Down Low, a little bit. But Wow, I love this fragrance. Once again, this smells like spring, but also it reminds me of vegetation in a jungle that's just been rained on, but humid, surrounded with humidity. It's so good. It's very intoxicating. This is Anflippo, one of my favorite fragrances from her. We've got 2 fragrances that she's created in this video, but if you're a green floral lover, you've got to try Synthetic Nature. Super awesome. And I'm also going to categorize the Narcisse note in the green floral category, and we've got a fragrance here from Atelier Materi called Narcisse Taiji. It's interesting, there's a little garden I walk by, a public garden, and I noticed a lot of paper whites growing. Paper whites, I think they're somewhat connected to the Narcissus flowers, but they were like already, they had bloomed like late January, early February, and I was like, wow, they're blooming that early now. But I think Narcisse is kind of connected to the paper white somewhat, I think. I'm not an expert in flowers, but I kind of categorize them similarly. They can be a bit stinky, by the way, and I think the Narcisse can have a bit of that stink as well. But they've done a really great job with Atelier Materi's Narcisse Taiji. It's a bit vintage to me, but not super. Like it's almost like a cross between vintage and modern together. But it's super green and spicy. But when you smell it, you do visualize this kind of a golden glow. Woods, warmth, perfect spring fragrance, I think, to remind you of the idea of spring and also smelling great with this very interesting concoction. They've been using Narcissus in men's fragrances, 2 collections actually. Gentleman's Society collection from Givenchy, which I'm waiting to get my nose on the sport edition that was just announced. And then they have Hermes H24 series that also uses the Narcissus. So they've taken the Narcissus note into a masculine direction. And Narcissus to me can get animalic. Like when you smell it, there's some funk there. Several years ago, I went to the Filoli Gardens here in the Bay Area. It's the big mansion. And in their gardens or in grounds, it was during spring, and all of the Narcissus had bloomed, including the paper whites. And the paper whites are even stinkier than the Narcissus flowers. There's a major funk in those flowers. And so you can really pick it up. But here they made it pretty beautiful, I think. Super green leaning though. So that is Narcisse Taiji from the house of Atelier Materi. Who's a fan of this house? Let me know. And then I've got 2 fragrances from the house of Parfums Dusita, first of which is Cavatina. Doesn't Sospiro have a fragrance called Cavatina? Who came first? They did or Sospiro? Parfums Dusita came first or Sospiro did? So recently I shot a video with Pisara of Parfums Dusita. She was right here, but she was being very shy when we shot that video. And I know somebody was asking me, why is she not standing next to you? I'm like, I couldn't get her to stand next to me. I have usually people here like Sarah Baker and Dahlia comes in, but we stand next to each other. But Pisara was going back there. But anyway, this is a green floral focusing on Lily of the Valley. And although I said it's focusing on the Lily of the Valley, I feel like it's a fusion of other flowers as well. I think if you are a fan of Lily of the Valley, one of the best Lily of the Valley fragrances, classic though, you should try is probably Diorissimo. I actually really love that fragrance. It's so awesome. Edmond Rudnitska created it. But Lily of the Valley is, I think people treat it as a old note, grandma note, things like that. But I think it's one of the best smells ever. And I was lucky enough to have spent a whole day. Well, I spent some time in Paris around the time of May Day when they sell the Lily of the Valley, like bunches of Lily of the Valley. And smelling those were like so awesome. But the thing is, they can't extract the Lily of the Valley, which I believe Pisada mentions when we were shooting the portion of the video about cavatina. So it's an accord, basically. You have to take a bunch of different flowers and combine their ingredients, their oils, and create the smell of Lily of the Valley, basically. But you have it here, but it's green, but you also have other flowers. So that's cavatina. I should say, this is going to fall down. So, but what I was going to say was, this is my favorite green floral fragrance from Dusita. It's Fleur de Lalita, which we've actually featured in a Scent Club kit. Fleur de Lalita is so super sexy. So I mean, please go catch the video with Pisada shot here in the studio. Even though she's being shy, it's still a good video because we talk about a new fragrance that she's launching. In that video, she did exclusively for a hotel in Bangkok, the Mandarin Oriental. It's a brand new fragrance. The only place you can get, you're not going to be able to buy them in stores, is either at the Mandarin Oriental or the online shop of Dusita. You can find out about it. It's a tea-focused fragrance. But Fleur de Lalita is so yum. It's, once again, green flowers, not just green floral notes. Lots of floral notes with green notes thrown in, I think, is what's going on here. There might even be a little bit of Lily of the Valley. There's also sexy patchouli in here. But when I first smelled this, I was like, damn, that's good. So good. It like instantly became my number one from the house as soon as I smelled it. And to this day, I think it's still my favorite. Moonlight in Chiang Mai from the same house has become my number two. But Fleur de Lalita, I absolutely love. It's so awesome. Really great scent. Next, we're going to talk about Jacques Fat Lila Exquis. Lila Exquis. Lilac. We're talking about lilac. My favorite lilac fragrance I'm not featuring here. It's called Lilac Love from Amouage. It's more of a winter fragrance, I think. It's like a gourmand. But my second lilac fragrance is discontinued. It's from Wilhelm Parfumerie. It's called A Lilac a Day. But I did want to feature one lilac fragrance in this video. And we're going to Lila Exquis from Jacques Fat. So it's interesting. When you smell lilac, you get a slight almond effect. It also happens with mimosa flower, which is also another spring flower. But I enjoy mimosa, but for me, my favorite spring flowers are hyacinth, lilac, and lily of the valley. And narcissus I should throw in there as well, which is also a yellow flower, but it smells kind of green to me, whereas the mimosa flower doesn't usually. Sometimes it does, though. But this is a bit almondy, fresh, a bit watery, dewy, the lilac in this. But it's interesting. There's the famous, not famous, but there's the two, or actually just one, the lilac focused fragrance from Issey Miyake, which also has almonds. It's interesting that they do feature almondy notes whenever they speak about, not all the time, but a lot of times they add in the almond note with lilacs, which I find quite unique. But when you smell the actual flower, which I'm hoping that they put out soon so I can buy a bunch, you can actually get those nuances of almonds from the flower. But that's Lila Exquis. The juice has gotten darker, by the way. It used to be pink, not pink, but purpler. All right, up next, we're going to the house of J Scent. It's Hydrangea. Now, hydrangeas, I don't pick up much smell, but they're gorgeous flowers. So beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. And they make really great arrangements if you have big vases. This is almost like the idea of fougère, where they're emulating the smell of the firm, which is called fougère in French. They've made a animalic or indolic take on hydrangea. It's like a flower bomb back in the 80s. Super animalic, indolic. But it's a recommendation. Get some samples before you blind buy. I feel like it's hydrangea, but there's a lot of jasmine here. I think jasmine's probably, maybe there's some narcissus, because it can come off a bit fecally like jasmine sometimes, like as I was mentioning with the paper white. But this is a bit dirty, but it smells like spring flowers. And just what I was mentioning with the my visit to the Filoli Gardens several years ago, when the narcissus was blooming and there was all those paper whites, and as soon as I get close to the paper whites, you can pick up the funk from the flowers. That's kind of what this smells like. I like it though. It smells realistic, hydrangea. It doesn't smell like a hydrangea to me though. So that's J-Scent Hydrangea. And then we've got Spaturno Barbicaja. Are you guys familiar with Spaturno? Christopher Sheldrake has created this. Spaturno is a new brand founded by, is it the granddaughter of Francois Coty? Spaturno is their real name. They changed the name to Coty back in the day. It's a gorgeous green floral balm. Lots of hyacinth here. Lily of the Valley, freesia, tuberose. A bit honeyed. So it's a bit sweet, but slightly indolic, but very green. That's so good. Yeah, green flowers. I just love green flowers. Let me know if you guys love green flowers as much as I do. But yeah, beautiful bottle. Anyway, Spaturno, Barbicaja. Then we've got Bon Parfumeur 104, one of my favorites from Bon Parfumeur. This does feature hyacinth, and I think in French it's a jacinthe. Of course, it's got lierre in there as well. Lierre is the ivy, and green orange. So, wow, it's good. I mean, as I was saying, there's not a lot of ivy-focused fragrances, but when I find them, I really love them. Like Eau de Lierre, which is the water of ivy, because Lierre is featured here too. I enjoy that one from Diptyque, but it's super light. Here, the fact that the greenness of, well, the ivy is also in the amouage as well. But here, the hyacinth and the ivy together with the bitterness and the greenness of the orange is so good. There's a extract version of this as well, not as good as this version. This might also be a bit underrated, maybe a bit old school, but I love this. Love, love, love it. You can really smell stems, floral stems. And to me, when I smell the greenness of spring flowers like hyacinth, I not only smell the flowers, I smell the stems as well. Oh, it's so good. This is really great. I highly recommend 104 from Bon Parfumeur, especially if you like green fragrances and green floral fragrances. And last but not least, we've got Midnight from SW19. Look at that beautiful picture back there. Sets a mood. It's almost like a fairy tale photo. So this is a powdery, musky, green floral fragrance that we had featured in our Scent Club kit. It's got lots of musk, powdery notes, white musk, like wet, watery flowers, creamy sandalwood, and of course we've got Lily of the Valley in this as well. It's clean. It's cozy, green. Really wonderful offering for spring, I think. That one is a bit closer to the skin. Also, it's not super duper green. It could fit into the category of the soft musks because it is quite musky and powdery, but definitely a solid offering from the house. Let me know what your thoughts are. SW19 Midnight is this brand is from Korea, by the way. So it's not only born to stand out now, we've got other Korean houses. So that's the last fragrance in the green floral or green flowers note, and that was number 6. All right, I had to pause there for a bit, but we are moving on to note number 5, and we're talking about vetiver. Vetiver is so awesome in the springtime, especially the ones that are not super heavy and deep and dense, the ones that are a bit fresher. They kind of bloom when it's raining. I don't know what it is about the wetness that touches, the dampness that touches a vetiver fragrance. It gives it a bit of edge or something, or makes them come alive. But I enjoy wearing a vetiver. Also, if it's kind of slightly humid, it's not a cold rain, it's a warmer rain. Try it. I think it brings out the fragrances even further, especially when it focuses on vetiver. But let's start with the fragrances. I'm going to the house of Jacques Fatt again with Vetiver Gris. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Vetiver Gris is a nutty take on vetiver. And we've got vetiver and hazelnuts. I think it's hazelnuts. We've got 2 back-to-back that are hazelnut vetiver focused fragrances. And both of them are super different. This one has a bit of a citrusy edge. It's fresh, but the vetiver has that earthiness. It's a bit rooty, but in addition to the rootiness of the vetiver, there's a slight earthiness outside of the vetiver as well. Like you're picking up the soil along with the vetiver, but not a lot. That's not a lot. But you do have a little bit of that nuttiness that's coming in and contrasting with the rootiness of the vetiver. But I feel like it's fresh. And this one, it has the deepness of the vetiver. And again, as I was saying, a little bit of warm rain kind of makes the vetiver fragrances come alive. I used to wear a lot of vetiver from Dior, which was a bit deeper than this and some of the fragrances I'm talking about today here. And when it rained outside, I think it smelled so good. Something about making the vetiver in the fragrances damp to kind of make them alive or something. But I really like this one. This is from the house of Jacques Fatt, Vetiver Gris. Try that. And then this next one too. It's Caron's AIMEZ-MOI Comme Je Suis. This is also vetiver and hazelnuts. Hazelnuts. I really love eating hazelnuts. They're a nice nut to eat, I should say. But I never thought in a million years that they would combine hazelnuts with vetiver fragrances, but they do. This one, on the other hand, is there's a bit of a chocolatey edge here, almost like Nutella, but not with real chocolate. It's just an effect that's happening with the notes in there. So it doesn't come off as fresh as the Jacques Fatt. To me, it comes out a little bit deeper. And that's why I'm getting a little bit of that chocolatey effect. And the fact that it has the Nutella, you're getting a little bit of a slight gourmand something happening. But again, it's definitely not a gourmand fragrance. There's a little bit of a tobacco happening in this one as well, which makes the fragrance a bit of sexy too. It's a great scent. This is Caron, AIMEZ-MOI Comme Je Suis from the house of Caron. Let me know if you guys are familiar with that. Then we've got Mise en Cere's Mythique Vetiver. And Mise en Cere, what's going on with this brand? I did a video some time ago during the holidays of really great discounts on a lot of their fragrances. This, on the other hand, is a spicy, fresh take on vetiver, which is, I think, perfect for spring. It's not super rooty, earthy. It's quite aromatic, but spicy. But there's this vibrant energy about it, like almost like it's a sporty fragrance. Like you smell it and you can pick up this like excitement with sportiness. I don't know if that's subconscious, what's causing that, but I think it's the types of notes. There's a kind of spices that is invigorating and giving it that bubbly kind of effervescence. Quite lovely. I haven't thought about this fragrance that way at all. Again, it's not super rooty, which makes it a little bit more spring appropriate. Then we've got a fragrance from the house of ATELIER Orange. It's Fat Electrician. This is I think this has been around since 2006. One of the earlier ATELIER Oranges. I think this is also created by Antoine Lee. Am I correct? I think Antoine Lee worked at Givaudan before. Now he's independent. The thing I like about this one is it's vetiver with slight gourmand leanings. So there's a kind of a smooth... This is also kind of nutty, but I think it's chestnut cream or something like that that's in here. So it's kind of smooth and creamy. But still, the vetiver is pretty prominent. You'll notice it. And the story, the Fat Electrician, my very first visit to ELDO store in Paris, 69 Rue Archives. Is that the address still? Archives, Rue Archives. There was a guy there. His name was Thomas. And I spent like 2 hours there, and he just gave me the stories of all the fragrances. It was like a winter day, including Secretions Magnifique. And he gave me a story on Fat Electrician. I don't know if it's the same story that everybody tells, but it was a washed up Hollywood actor who became fat and became an electrician, apparently. But maybe that's not the real story. But I don't know what that has anything to do with vetiver, but it is called a semi-modern vetiver. Yeah, vetiver is really developing there. Up next, going to the house of Acro. It's ink. I've gotten so many compliments with this. I've actually had ladies go behind me, which is kind of weird, but when they do that, you know what they're trying to do. They're trying to smell your smell. That's the thing with Acro fragrances. I think this is the only one that I've gotten compliments. Maybe I've gotten compliments on smoke. I'm not sure if I've gotten it from dark or awake. But for some reason, this one, just the way it's created, and it's vetiver, but it's smoky, rubbery, leathery, inky, because it's called ink. It's inspired by tattooing. But this one also, you need some spring warmth for this fragrance to come alive. It might come off like it's a bit dark, but like a bit dark for spring. But the way the Acro fragrances, especially the EDPs, they do have great projection, and I think the heat projects them even more, the warmth, I should say. And so when that happens is when people are going to, smell you or do that thing to see what you're wearing. And so this one, as I said, this one garners me compliments. It's an unusual fragrance for that, but it does. But when you smell it, it's kind of like I said, an inky, rubbery, leathery take on vetiver. Smoky also. But this is not smoke like the smoke in the fragrance. There's their fragrance called smoke. This is more like rubbery, leathery, inky smoke. Good stuff. But it's dark. It's a dark vetiver fragrance. Then we're going to the house of Clive Christian with L Red Tea Vetiver. So there was a moment or time in my life I was drinking so much red tea, rooibos tea. I think there was my very first trip to London was in 2008, and I discovered red tea. Although I think I had discovered it prior to that, but when I went to London, I brought back a lot of red tea with me because I think for some reason they drink a lot of red tea there. It's uncaffeinated, and so you can also add milk to it where you can't really add it. I don't add it to like green tea. And it became a staple. Every night I was drinking red tea. And I could see why this actually smelling like red tea here. But it's chock full of a lot of vetiver. Like the vetiver is super strong, but it's still like the red tea effect that's in here gives you the effect of freshness. And I should say, red tea is called red tea. I think it's referring to rooibos. I don't even know if that's really if it means red. It's known as red. I think it's also known as red bush. It doesn't really smell red to me. It's slightly grassy. For me, it's almost like a combo of something grassy that's dry, maybe a little bit of the effect of the black and green tea together. But on the other hand, the vetiver in this is quite grassy, dry, earthy, but not super rooty. So easier to wear. Let me know if you're a fan of red tea vetiver. L Red Tea Vetiver from Clive Christian. This next one might be a bit potent, although the Clive Christian I think might be a bit potent as well, but use caution. I think they would work though, totally. I think vetiver is perfect. All kinds of vetiver is perfect for spring, but I avoided putting in something that's super rooty. But this next one, super sexy in the spring. Incident Diplomatique from J.U.S. Love this fragrance. Still my second favorite after Psychedelic. Psychedelic is still my #1 favorite, and this is so sexy. This one also garners me compliments. I've had people chase me down the street, ask me what I'm wearing when I'm wearing this. And it's basically the combination of the patchouli and the vetiver together. They work so well here. I've seen a lot of vetiver and patchouli fragrances, but it's done so magically awesome here. It's not only the vetiver and patchouli. I think you've got some nutmeg here, some warm spice, and a bit of freshness with some citruses. But on skin, oh man, and great projection. And warm spring days, this is going to project off of you, and you're going to be walking down the hall, and somebody's going to be coming down behind you, and they're going to say, "What are you wearing?" It's good. It's a really great fragrance. Let me know if you're a fan of that. We're going on 10 years of Incident Diplomatique. I think it launched in 2017. All right, next we've got Ormond Jane's Vetiveria. This launched late last year, or maybe summertime last year. This is a super citrusy, spicy vetiver fragrance. I think it was a reimagining of the Zizan. I think that was a fragrance from Ormond Jane. Vetiveria has a lot of Timur or Timut pepper, or is it Sichuan? One of those peppers. It's quite prominent up top. It's also got lime, so it's a bit astringent, but super peppery, spicy, citrusy, invigorating, clean, and then it develops to that rootiness of, but not super rooty. I think it's more grassy earthiness of the vetiver. I don't have too much experience or any experience at all with Zizan, so I can't compare the two, but this is quite astringent and peppery for vetiver, I should say. The lime note up top is quite astringent. Vetiveria from Ormond Jane. And then I'm going to end the list with Essential Parfums Mon Vetiver. So taking vetiver into a gin tonic direction. So very ice cold, fresh, easy to wear vetiver, not super rooty, earthy. This is more like light grassy. Very, very easy to wear. I just think it's easygoing, dumb reach kind of freshness, ice cold, you know, aromatic with the gin juniper combo, spicy, clean, icy, cold vetiver. I think that should be very easy to wear. All right, and that is the last fragrance for the vetiver category. Let me know if you have any vetiver fragrances that you would add to this list. Do let me know, add a comment below. Let's move on to the next note. And the next note we're going to talk about, is iris. Yeah, not the Dior Homme Parfum kind of iris. This is the more ethereal kind of iris to give it a bit more of an elegant edge to some of the fragrances that I'm mentioning here. And we're going to start with the list with a more green leaning iris, and also continuing on with Essential Parfums. This is Velvet Iris. So Velvet Iris to me is a super green, spicy iris focused fragrance. The fact that it's also green, you know, makes it a bit more easier to add to this list, because green I associate a lot with spring. So it's powdery, it's woody, it's a bit dusty, but also creamy. And there's a slight nuttiness in there for sure. And we've got, you know, the iris, the orris, I should say, which is what it is. It's called Velvet Iris, but they are utilizing orris here. As I mentioned in another video, I'm not sure it's super velvety for me, but I can go with it. I did a video with the founder of Essential Parfums last year. We spoke about this one in that video. I think you can go catch and find out more about this. And also, I should say, we do have some 2-for-1 bottles available. Not of this one. We have it of Mon Vetiver. We have it of their patchouli. We have it of their vanilla. There's a rose now added to the list, but it's the rose and patchouli combo. So we have some 2-for-1 bottles if you guys are in the market for Essential Parfums fragrances. But yeah, I think it's a perfect fragrance here for spring, Velvet Iris. It smells like spring to me, for sure, but more with a powdery edge. But next, going to the house of Théo Cabanel, it's Oh La La. Oh La La. What's going on with this brand? They seem like they kind of come out of hiding and then they go into hiding. I don't know what's going on with the brand. Oh La La to me is a very ethereal, powdery, easygoing, iris-focused fragrance. There's some slight nutty edges, a bit doughy, kind of creamy edges in there, but slight leather leaning a little bit as well. But I just think it's a beautiful fragrance, beautiful iris-focused. It does have some substance. I tried making sure that the fragrances here were not super dense, and definitely we're avoiding fragrances like Dior Homme Parfum, the OG, not the new 2025. I think I could put the 2025 edition here, but why would I, right? Because I don't like it. But this is quite good. I think the only thing that might be a bit bothersome is I am picking up a little bit of a leathery edge with this one, but I love that about it. What do you guys think of Oh La La? Great scent from that brand. But let me know if you guys know what's going on with Théo Cabanel. They've kind of gone into hiding again. Next, we go into the house of Xerjoff once more. It's Apollonia. So Apollonia is just the right kind of iris here. It's a bit floral, it's musky, and it's iris powdery. It's also super sexy. But this could also be perfectly fitting of the soft musks category earlier on, but I decided to put this here because it is a lot of iris. And to me, I think it captures the name perfectly. And also the look of the bottle is what you're pretty much smelling. It's super gorgeous. Ah, it's so good. Really, really great. But this is very close to the skin. Super close to the skin. That is a collaboration with Brian May of Queen. If you guys didn't know, that's Apollonia from Xerjoff. That's the first musician collaboration that Xerjoff did. Brian May of Queen, and then it was Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, and then it was Duran Duran. Let's see what happens. But as I was mentioning earlier about Xerjoff, I did finally air my video that I shot with Sergio while I was in Cannes in late September, early October. So if you want to find out about some of their new releases post that show up to now, definitely go catch that video. But we're moving on to the house of Maison Violet. This is Tanagra. This is definitely a perfect fitting fragrance for this category. Super ethereal. A little bit of reminder of Dior Homme or Dior Homme Intense, but minute amounts. But it's a Nathalie Lorson creation. I don't know, but I think for me, I mean, this is gorgeous. I'm not saying I don't know about this fragrance. I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say is, since or post Dior Homme Parfum and my first I wore Dior Homme Intense in 2013, then Dior Homme Parfum in 2014, and then many years after that until now, it has got me to enjoy iris really, really. And early on, I hated iris. I mean, I hated a lot of notes back then. Like when I was younger, I just couldn't deal with vanilla. I didn't like anything like that. But the deeper you get into this hobby, the more you appreciate notes. And iris has become one of my most loved notes now. It just smells so great. And here, it develops into becoming something a little bit like Dior Homme Intense, or more like Dior Homme, because it's a lot of freshness here. There's not like a warm, dense. It's just very airy and cool and crisp. But it's quite good. It's a Nathalie Lorson creation, Tanagra, from the house of Maison Violet. The bottles have changed now, by the way. So the bottles are not like that. But speaking of Dior Homme Intense, this one also reminds me of Dior Homme Intense a little bit, but in a different style. This is Les Eaux Primordiales Iris Palladium. Who's a fan of this one? It's not my #1 favorite from the house. I do enjoy some of their other fragrances more, but you do get the reminder of Dior Homme Intense or Dior Homme DNA in this. With a little bit of the DNA, well, a lot of the DNA of this brand's fragrances. Powdery for sure, buttery for sure. To me, this one's also a bit deeper than Tanagra. Tanagra is a bit more ethereal and airy, like dust flowing in air. This one has slight nutty butteriness. Oh, I love that. Really great. Reminds me a little bit of sesame seeds. So there's a bit of a sticky, golden nuttiness. But that's great. That's really, really wonderful. I love iris. Let me know if you're a fan of iris. Have you ever made a 180 for hating a fragrance and then totally loving it? And what is it? And what about iris? Has it happened to you? You hated it before and now you're obsessed with it? Like, iris is like going up the ranks of being one of my favorite notes. Like, it might even be a top 5 favorite note now. That's how much I'm loving. But also, I'm falling out of love with tuberose, because tuberose has started really bothering me for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's talk about the next iris focus fragrance. This is Iri de Gris from L'Artisan. My voice is actually getting a bit hoarse, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But so this fragrance is from the L'Artisan Parfumeur Le Potager collection of fragrances, utilizing vegetables and fragrances. This is iris and peas, like the actual peas plant. So it's super green, which is also perfectly appropriate for spring, and iris powdery. It's also an eau de toilette, so it's not super strong. Oh no, it's an eau de parfum. I thought it was an eau de toilette. I don't know why I thought it was an eau de toilette, but it does say eau de parfum. But very unique smell, you know? I've mentioned this in videos before. There was one restaurant I ate at one time back in the mid-2000s, and they brought out a dish which had pea vines on it, and you could smell it off the plate. It was a warm dish, and they topped it with this kind of like a net of vines of pea vines. And when they brought it, I could smell it. I'm like, this just totally reminds me of that. But obviously, it's powdery for sure. Lots of powder because it's iris. It is also called Iris de Gris, so it's gray iris, but super vegetal. I love that. Really, really super springy, because the pea vines totally smell like spring. Or maybe you buy a package of peas and you open it up. That green smell is basically here as well. So that's L'Artisan Parfumeur Iris de Gris. Go into the house of, what am I saying? Go into the house of Reine de Saba, an Anne Flippo creation. It's Reine Makeda. This stuff is so super sexy. Remember I mentioned I had Synthetic Nature Anne Flippo created. This is also an Anne Flippo. But this is very powdery. It's also musky and very floral. And of course, iris is dominating here. I think there's also cashmeran or cashmere wood. This in the summer, like in the super warm days, this one super shines. Oh my God, it smells good. It smells so good. But there's a lot going on in here. It's not just the iris. This is an iris category. And I wanted to feature this as part of an iris video. Iris section, the iris note, because it has a lot of iris, but there's a lot of other things going on. There's floral notes. I'm also picking up like orange blossom and neroli in here. It's very, very powdery and also super musky. So sexy. Try it. It's really, really wonderful. So that's Reine Makeda from the house of Reine de Saba. And we've got a fragrance from the house of Fleur. It's Father Figure. So it's iris and figs. Not only the green leaves, but also you've got the fruits in here. I quite like this fragrance. It's not my super favorite from the house, but I think it's quite enjoyable to wear. It's quite mass appealing. It's green and fruity and super powdery with the iris, as I said. But I think the iris doesn't overtake the greenness and the fruitiness. You definitely have those experiences. It's nicely balanced. Definitely one of the best. I think I need to do a rank list of the whole entire house. Maybe one day I'll do that. But there's a few videos on the channel on the House of Fleur. If you want to discover the house, go ahead and search for those videos. My favorite from the house right now is Cherry Stem. And I also enjoy Tangerine Boy. Those two are really wonderful offerings from the house, I think. All right, and last but not least, I'm going to talk about the Juice Box fragrance, Visionary Eye. So you guys know this one. This is a Dominique Ropillon creation. Inspired by David Bowie's music. What I like about this one, it's got a super creamy layer, but just imagine that dusting of powder that floats in the air. And you can see those little gradients and ingredient, like the powder floating in the air and, you know, evaporating and vanishing. That's how this fragrance wears on skin. It also has a licorice note here, or I think maybe it's anise. And it contrasts and gives it this soft, spicy edge. But it's quite wonderful. This came out... When did that come out? So it was this fragrance, then it was Karaoke Heart, and then it was 54. Because when we started working on 54, it was before Karaoke Heart launched, but they had just launched this. Great fragrance, by the way. It's a great Dominique Ropion creation. I don't consider it one of the best from Dominique Ropion, but I think he did a great job on it. What I like about this also is the fact that it has that licorice or anise. It's noticeable, but it's not overtaking the iris. So it's not like running the show, but you definitely notice it. All right, so that's Visionary Eye by Juicebox. And that's the end of the iris list here. Let me know what... There goes another bottle. Let me know what your favorite iris fragrances are from this list. And let me know what you would add to this list as well. Yeah, having a lot of bottles on this table is becoming a bit... I think I'm going to have to get a bigger table for doing these videos because some bottles are so wobbly, they fall down. Thankfully, it didn't break, thankfully. But I'm going to have to look for different table situations, something wider. And so there's enough room for the wobbly bottles. If it wobbles, it won't fall down. But do let me know what your favorite iris fragrances are from this list. And also let me know what you would add to this list if you were putting this list together. So let's move on to the number 3 note next. All right, gang, we've got 3 notes left to do for the spring notes video here, the deep dive video on spring notes. So we're going to go to note number 3. This is the top list or top 10 list of notes. Number 3 is lavender. Let me know if you have a favorite lavender focused fragrance, and let's get started with the list. Lavender is considered aromatic, and even though I had an aromatic herbs section in the video already, I wanted to highlight lavender on its own because I consider it a great spring note. We're going to go with lavender or Lavande 31 first with Le Labo. Let me know what you think about this. This is a very modern fougere fragrance. And my only complaint about the fragrance is that it's not super beast mode like all Le Labo fragrances are, but it smells super fantastic for a fragrance. And I think it's perfectly appropriate for spring because spring is not super hot yet. You've got some cool, so I feel like this, you can liberally spray this stuff on. You can wear it in the summertime as well, but I think lavender as a note is really appropriate for spring. So it's a bit spicy. For sure, it's very aromatic. There's some warmth in there, but not quite. There's some musks in there. You've got the Le Labo DNA, for sure. It's definitely prominent here. But it's overall quite classy, modern take on a fougere. And I think it's quite unisex for lavender. Sometimes lavender tends to go masculine because they, do the fragrances... barbershop-y leaning. And even though this is considered a modern fougere or a fougere in general, I feel like it's quite unisex. A woman and a man can totally pull this off. Let me know if you're a fan of Le Labo's Lavande 31. What do you guys think? Add a comment below. I do enjoy Le Labo. When I first started, speaking about fragrances, I was all over Rose 31, Thé Noir, Bergamot 22, ended up with enjoying Benjoin 19 from their city exclusives, and the Musk, the LA city exclusive Musk is so super sexy. So there are a lot of Le Labo fragrances I enjoy, but obviously my palette changed and I've moved on, and I don't find the brand as super exciting as it used to before. But I think Lavande 31, they did a pretty darn good job with it. I just wish it was a bit more beefier, you know? So let's move on to the next lavender focused fragrance. And this could have totally fit into the herb category because it's a lavender with mint. This is wild mint and lavandin. And I didn't mention lavandin. Lavandin is, I have a video on the channel explaining what lavandin is in comparison to lavender. There's multiple varieties of lavender out there. There's also lavandin. And a lot of times, some brands don't mention it's lavandin, and they mention lavender, but you're actually, they're using lavandin. Here they mention lavandin for sure. It's very aromatic, very herbal, super spicy, fresh fragrance from Molton Brown, utilizing the mint and the lavandin. And lavandin is, out of all the different varieties of the types of lavender, and it's a hybrid. Lavandin is a hybrid. And as I said, I have a video explaining the different varieties of lavender, plus some other herbs that are grown in the south of France. And definitely, if you're curious, just search the channel for that video. But you definitely have a kind of a bowl of herbs here. Dry herbs and fresh herbs together. Mint for sure. I'm also picking up clary sage in this. So it's kind of leaning masculine offering here from Molton Brown. So very aromatic, super spicy, and very spring appropriate here. Wild mint and lavandin from the house of Molton Brown. And we do have something fougere-like here. It's Lavande 44 from Rania J. This is actually kind of old school a bit old school leaning, I think. It's a fougere, very lavender forward. Tonka in the base you can pick up. You have that shaving soap touch. A bit of a reminder of something like Fougere Royale, or even I have Beau de Jour coming up here in a little bit. Maybe something a little bit also like the sartorial from Penhaligon's, Fougere Royale. So you've got all those touches here with this fragrance. But really nicely done. Very classic, old school. Reminds me of my dad because he used to wear Brut, and this also reminds me of Brut a little bit. Which the lavender really is highlighted here in a little bit of an old school way. But I like that about it. So Lavande 44 by Rania J. I think it's a perfect spring offering. I'm going to go with my older bottle with this fragrance. It's been redone recently, but I think when I smelled the fragrances, it reminded me of one another. So I think the smell has not changed too much. This is Masculine Pluriel from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. The juice is not brown anymore. It's a bit more yellowish. Super classy take on a fougere for the guys. Just like what Francis does with some of his fragrances. He does tend to do super refined offerings when he does for, I think it's the DNA he uses for this brand, not Dior. I mean, you can totally tell this is a MFK offering because the base here is also the base of a lot of his other fragrances for this house. Not any of the ouds, but some of the, the non-oud fragrances. But it's, lots of lavender, very fougere-like, and a perfect fragrance to wear spring, I think. Are you guys happy with the new version of Masculine Pluriel? I haven't really worn it. I've got my original bottle here. It still smells great. Love it. I bought that for a great deal, by the way. Yeah, it's a great offering from the house. Then we're going to go to the house of Tom Ford. It's Beau de Jour. Don't worry, this is not all fougères, by the way. Beau de Jour is definitely an old school style, modernized fougère for the guys. It started out as a private blend fragrance, then moved to the signature line. And this came out around the time of a lot of lavender-focused fragrances from Tom Ford. I remember when I first started talking about fragrances, there was a lavender fragrance from Tom Ford called Lavender Palm, which I couldn't stand. That fragrance was the weirdest fragrance. It was oily, like it had a weird oily texture. I love the smell of lavender, but that didn't, wow me at all. I couldn't stand it. But then Fast forward like 8 years, they launched Fougère Platine, Fougère, what's the other Fougère? And then they had the Beau de Jour, they had the Lavender Extreme, I think it was Fougère Ardente. So 4 of them. And they somewhat got discontinued. Lavender Extreme totally discontinued. I think Fougère Platine is also, but Fougère Ardente I think is still selling. And there was a rumor that Beau de Jour was also getting the axe. I don't know if it's really happened yet. Rumors appear and then it really happens, so be on guard. But I find this to be super awesome. And also the lavender in Beau de Jour is so realistic. Like, to me, it places me in the lavender fields that I spent last summer. I was in the south of France during the harvest. That's where I shot the video on the lavender and the lavandin and all those ingredients. And it puts me smack dab in the middle of the lavender fields. It smells so realistic. I love that about it. But to me, it's so spring, fresh, green herbs. Awesome. So that's Beau de Jour. I would hate for Beau de Jour to get discontinued. Really would hate it because I think it's great. And for some strange reason, I'm seeing that, not strange that I'm seeing some Fougère revivals, you know, like I already spoke about Dodo Jackfruit Edition. But so I'm seeing some pop up, but I'm also seeing discontinuations, which is kind of disappointing that maybe there's not much interest in Fougère fragrances. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Acro. It's Breathe. This is a watery offering with an overdose of aromatic lavender. So this is totally different than anything else I spoke about. It's super fresh. It's musky and spicy aromatic with the lavender note. I think leave this for the warmest days in spring. It's super cooling. It's called Breathe, and it's yeah, very watery. It's like you're wearing water almost. I like that about it. It's fun. It's for the person that likes not super intense offerings, I think. But you can totally notice the lavender in this. It's there. But it doesn't jump out like lavender that's in Beau de Jour. It's a bit more restrained. It's not super loud. Have you discovered Breathe? Do you like it? I like Breathe quite a bit, actually. Definitely one of my favorites. I wouldn't say it's top. I still think Smoke is a top fragrance for me. Dark and Awake. I even love Night. The tea one is good. Crush has grown on me quite a bit. It's the macaroon one. There's the Glow, I think, is the amber. I like that one too. There's a few that I enjoy from the house. So let's move on to Parlez-moi de Parfum next. It's Eau Provence 89. So the fact that it has the name or the word Provence in it means we're gonna, experience lavender. But it's fruity lavender, and also the fruits they use in here, melons, gives you a slight marine edge. So Provence is in the south of France, which is close to the Mediterranean. So I think maybe that's kind of the inspiration here. But it's not super marine. It's almost marine fruity. And somewhat, the lavender, I think the fruitiness of the I think it's cantaloupes. Because it reminds me of cantaloupes, which for me, I'm not the biggest fan of melon-focused fragrances, so because they do remind me of marine notes. But as far as consuming them, I much prefer watermelon over cantaloupes or any other kind of melons. I don't like melons, period, except for watermelon as a flavor. But this is very, very, very melon forward. So, and also the fact that it's very melon forward, it gives you that whole slight marine edge. But beneath it all, there's a lot of lavender there. And you're basically, paying tribute to the south of France, Eau Provence. And you've got the lavender. I spend a lot of time in the south of France. I really love visiting France and traveling there on vacation. and discovering. I just wish I spoke French more, but one of these days I'll be fluent, I guess. We'll see. But that is Parlez-moi de Parfum Eau Provence 89. Let me know if you're familiar with the brand. From the brand, I really love Wake Up World, and I also love Mile High. Those two are awesome. If you haven't discovered those fragrances, please do. They're awesome fragrances. And I think we're going to go to an old school offering, going to the House of Guerlain de Sajiki. I'm so glad this was gifted to me by a subscriber at our 54 event at Lucky Scent in, not last year, but the year before. Thank you for gifting. I had dismissed this fragrance, but I just probably didn't really give it too much attention. You know, when you're smelling fragrances in a retail establishment, you're moving on from one to the other. And I had dismissed it. And I generally really love Guerlain fragrances, really do. And now that I have it and have utilized it and enjoy it, really didn't realize it was a fougere style. It is a fougere style. It's, I think it's one of the first, well, not the first, because Fougere Royale is the first, but this acts a bit like fougere, but then it also acts more like just a straightforward lavender fragrance rather than, you know, fougere total barbershop-y. Does that make sense? Like, it has those old school, it has the old school DNA. It has, because you can smell it, and it's a Guerlain. It's an historic fragrance, classic fragrance dating back to the early 1900s. But you smell it, it's classic. You smell it, it's a bit fougere. You smell it, and then, you know, then it's just like a straightforward lavender offering. But it's really, really great. There does seem to be a little bit of funk when it's on skin, but it's not overdose. Maybe the original version, the original formulation was a bit more animalic, but I like whatever it is here in it that this fragrance offers. This is my very, very first experience with the Jiki, and I wish I had experienced it way long ago. I really love it. I couldn't believe how love. In fact, I would say I love Jiki more than Mitsuko, and I've had Mitsuko for a good 10 years in my collection. Go figure. But between the classics, I think it's still L'Heure Bleu for me. L'Heure Bleu is amazing, a masterpiece. This is really, really great though. Jiki, let me know what your thoughts are. I think it's a great fragrance to wear in the spring. And then finally, I'm going to the house of Chanel with Boy. A unisex fougere once again. So this is a really great offering. It came out a few years after a fragrance from the house of Hermes called, forgetting the name. Anyway, the geranium focused fragrance from Hermes. It was a flanker which got discontinued, and I'm hunting down a bottle. I can't find it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, because it's a fougere, but I feel like there's a lot of geranium in this. But there's a lot of lavender, don't get me wrong, it's not just about the geranium. But for some reason, it reminded me of, it's Equipage Geranium, that's the name. So I need to find a bottle of Equipage Geranium. If anybody knows of the status of one, let me know. And I think I should probably get a bottle of Equipage as well, because I've never worn Equipage. But the very first time I sampled Equipage Geranium, I was on a trip in Norway, of all places. I'm sorry, not Norway, what am I saying? Denmark. I've never been to Norway. In Denmark, and I smelled it there, and I fell in love, and I got it right on the spot. But I had never worn Equipage, and definitely need to find me a bottle of Equipage Geranium, because I'm at the bottom of mine, and it's gotten discontinued, sadly. But again, Boy is a fougere, quite a modern fougere, but, you know, paying tribute to the classics. And even though it has a lot of lavender, I feel like it also has a lot of geranium. And that's what reminds me of the Equipage Geranium. But super awesome. Great fragrance to wear springtime. I do have to say it does have a little bit of warmth in the base. So there's a little bit of something creamy, vanillic warmth. Maybe tonka is what's giving that, effect. But that's the lavender section of the video. Number 3 note is lavender. Let me know your thoughts on the fragrances I spoke about today in this section of the video. And let me know which lavender fragrances would you add to this list if it was you putting it together. Now let's move on to the number 2 note. Can you guess what it is? Number 2 note is green notes. Yes, if you didn't know already, I already spoke about green floral notes. But green notes for me are awesome. And really love it. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that my dad gardened. My dad grew a lot of vegetables, a lot. Tomatoes were number 1, but a lot of other things as well. All these greens, herbs, plants, fruits, flowers, you name it. So when you're a kid and you're just, hanging out with your parents, your dad, while he's digging through the garden, you get to smell the garden vegetables and herbs and fruits and flowers a lot. Maybe that's why I like green notes a lot. I don't know. But there are some people that don't like green notes. So I'm sorry. Give it some time. Maybe you'll eventually end up enjoying the green notes. But I also associate green notes with spring. I feel like because you smell a lot of green, like the hyacinth I was mentioning earlier, hyacinth as a flower, it smells green to me because it's got a very green floral effect. And that's what I like about green notes, just the smell. So let's talk about the first fragrance. Going to the house of Miller Harris, it's Celadon. This is a tomato leaf focused fragrance, and it's a given that I would like this because my dad planted a lot of tomatoes. A lot. One time I remember I had gone away and for a long time from family. I was very young. I came back and the garden had been taken over by these giant tomato plants. And that summer, I ate the best freaking tomatoes because, the tomatoes were so awesome. But, the tomato leaf has a distinct smell, and you can smell it here. It's like you've handled the tomato leaves or the tomatoes themselves, because when you pick a tomato fresh off of the vines, it has a very unique green, bitter, almost camphor, almost like marijuana, cannabis kind of smell. And that's what you get here. It's very fresh, green, herbal, spicy. So yum. So great. But yeah, when I smell fragrances with tomato leaves, I always think about that time my dad had overgrown all the tomatoes in the garden. Like it was a jungle, like a tomato jungle. Like you couldn't even get through. Like you'd have to get a machete and just chop everything because it was just so tall. So tall. Like literally it had taken over. And then a few days later, everything was like chopped, tomatoes picked. It was back to normal. So crazy. All right, moving on to the house of Orza et Legrand. This is Déjà Le Printemps. So I think this makes sense for spring because printemps means spring. I don't know what the rest of the words mean. So somebody tell me what this means. Add a comment below. But I love Orza et Legrand a lot. And another store that you guys have to visit if you ever make it to Paris, go to the Orza et Legrand boutique. It's actually gotten very close to the department stores in the city center. It's actually close to the Madeleine too. So here we have galbanum, grass, lily of the valley, fig leaves, clover, all of these green notes together with a little bit of orange blossom. It's basically spring in a bottle. That's what it smells like. Imagine the springtime when you're in this beautiful, not garden, but a park with hills, all the grass has grown, and little flowers, the clover flowers growing. You can see the little patches of them. That's what this fragrance reminds me of, these hills of grass and little clover flowers and things like that, or little blossoms on the ground. It's super green, very fresh, spring-like. Maybe a bit dewy as well, I should say. So that's Déjà La Printemps. And then we've got a fragrance from the house of Rus and Rus. It's Malamata, another fragrance that I've featured in Scent Club. We do have some more of the samples from this kit left too, by the way. Malamata is a Dominique Ropion creation. It's so awesome. I already spoke about Synthetic Nature, which used to be Synthetic Jungle, created by Anne Flippo. This does remind me of it, but then it doesn't. This reminds me a little bit more of Pea Vines. Oh my God, it's so good. This stuff is awesome. I was so happy to be able to get this fragrance in our kit. This smells like tomato leaves, pea vines, little white flowers, all in like a little garden basket or something. And the fragrance is super strong under the sun. And you're getting whiffs of it together. That is amazing. That's such a great fragrance. I would rank that as I did a Dominique Ropion deep dive video. I don't remember ranking the fragrances in that video, but this needs to be in my top 10. It's so good. It's apparently a winner of some award. I don't see that listed here. No, it's not here. But I bought this from Javoy, and a friend fell in love with it right then and there. They wanted it, so I had to go back and buy another the next day. It's really good. Malamata from Rus and Rus. It's a brand that I don't hear much about, sadly. But for me, it's my favorite from that house, hands down. I love it. Next up, it's Nishane's Ambra... No, I'm sorry. Next up, it's Ex Nihilo's Viper Green. Viper Green is the very first Ex Nihilo fragrance I have bought. It's a fresh take on galbanum. Galbanum is this plant. Actually, it's not the plant. It's the resin. They make a resin out of the plant. And it smells super green. It's the key ingredient in number 19 from Chanel. And I'm not featuring that here today. But anytime I see galbanum in a fragrance, I want to get my nose on it because I'm absolutely addicted to the smell of galbanum. I think they make a sticky resin out of it and they use it somehow in fragrances. And I think you have to control your usage because it could just overpower. But I love the way this thing smells. It's known for fragrances like Iris Mollicon. It's super galbanum forward. Irish Leather, I think it has galbanum. There's Comte des Garçons Copper that has galbanum. So it comes up in fragrances here and there. But for me, the Viper Green is all galbanum. But it's a super fresh take on it. Not classic like number 19. But I'm assuming someone might associate the galbanum in here with the galbanum in number 19. And then they kind of make that be classic or, you know, vintage kind of old school smelling. But I absolutely love it. Definitely a great one. I wish it was stronger, but it's super fresh, I think. Super fresh. So that is Viper Green from Ex Nihilo. Then we've got Nishane's Ambra Calabria. I've got to include this one. This one also, it's probably warmer, so you can wear this in the cooler days. It's an amber, Ambra Calabria, but it's also a green amber. It's got green notes. It's got galbanum. It's got bergamot, vanilla, and of course amber. Super intoxicating. My number one favorite fragrance from this house. It's kind of underrated. Unusual. You don't ever see a fresh amber, but it can happen with something like this. It's just magical. They've never made a 100 ml bottle of that because I think it's an acquired taste. But anybody into green fragrances and amber would probably appreciate this one. But as I was saying earlier, I don't think green fragrances are super popular. But I love them. I really do. And again, oh man, it's developing to smell so nice. Do you guys love this or hate it? Let me know. It does remind me, as I was saying earlier, a little bit of Oolong Cha. A little bit. Like, not the ambery part, the green part reminds me of Oolong Cha. And I think it's the same perfumer who made this and made Oolong Cha. So I'm assuming they used similar green ingredients. It could be a stripped down formula of Oolong Cha that they built on for Amber Calabria or vice versa. Because I get similarities. But it's damn good. It's so good. Hands down the best from Nishane. So that's Amber Calabria. Up next, going to the house of Aesop, it's Virere. Let me know if you're a fan of this one. Virere. There's a whole deep dive video on the channel of Aesop fragrances in case you want to learn about this house. They haven't announced any new fragrances, so everything that they had up to that date is what I had included in the video. This is super woody, green, but also very aromatic. And earthy. Major earthy component to it. But this brand makes very earthy fragrances, I should say. It's a brand that's got a cult following, and a lot of people love their skincare products or shower gels or hand soaps. They're very expensive. I do use their deodorants once in a while, but mostly I like their fragrances. They're very expensive, and some of their more popular fragrances now do come in 100 ml, so they're priced a bit better because you get more juice for not double the price of a 50 ml. So that's a good thing, but most of them are just 50 ml fragrances. But here, it's super earthy, woody, green, and aromatic. And spicy, of course. Virere. And then I'm going to feature this from Parfums du Cita here. It's Le Sillage Blanc. It's like an old school Chypre. This is a bit more potent than I would associate with spring because it does have the leather. But, you know, spring's not always very warm. If you like fragrances like Aramis by Aramis, Bandy by, what is it called? From Robert Piguet, and then Cabochard from Grey, you should like this version of this fragrance, Le Sillage Blanc, which is paying tribute to those fragrances. I mean, anybody that's a fan of Aramis by Aramis is going to love this. It's green, leathery Chypre with galbanum. I love it. Really great fragrance. Really awesome. And I'm going to end the video with not the video, but this Green Notes group with two fragrances featuring violet leaves, which I find to be green leaning and ozonic. First of which is Cap d'Antibes from 8 and Bob. I do have to say 8 and Bob have changed their bottles. They no longer are square like this. They also have ribs on them now. They're clear bottles. I like this one. It's super ozonic, juicy and crisp. Violet's super potent here. But unlike the violet flower, the leaves are more almost fruity, pulpy, but ozonic, right? Like I said. It's kind of like the inside of a cucumber, or when you slice through aloe vera, that pulpiness. It's how you experience the note. So there's a watery, but more gelatinous kind of effect happening. But while being super green at the same time. This is so good. I've forgotten about this. And I don't know what's going on with the brand. Well, obviously, I know what's going on. Not from them, but I've seen that they've redone all of their bottles. And they've launched new collections as well. Cap d'Antibes from 8 and Bob. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And then the last fragrance featuring violet leaves is Bon Parfumer's 003. My very first Bon Parfumeur fragrance. I fell in love with it in Milan at a store. I think it was 50 ml. And it was warm. It was early September, and it was quite warm there still. and this was very invigorating. So this is Yuzu, Feu de Violet, and Vetiver. Feu de Violet is, I think it's the leaves of violet or violet leaves. All right, so so it's the vetiver in the base, the crisp, pulpy, ozonic note of violet leaves in the heart, and you've got that fresh, bitter, sweet tart yuzu up top. So it makes for a very easy to wear, warm spring, warm summer day fragrance. Super crisp, and it's like, you know, you're tired of citruses. I mean, this is not all citrus, but it does feature a citrus. By the way, if you're hearing some creaking noises, I have, what I have had to do here when I do these videos of almost 100 fragrances or more, I have to put some towels on the floor. Otherwise, the floor gets all oily because the towel sucks up the oil and somebody won't slip and fall. Anyway, but going back to 003, it's definitely one of the best if you like fresh fragrances. 003 from Bon Parfumeur. And that's the last fragrance for green notes, my number 2 favorite spring note. What are your thoughts on green notes? Are you a fan of green notes or do you hate them? Do you prefer green floral notes more than green notes and vice versa? Do let me know that as well. And if you were to add fragrances here, which fragrances would you add to this section? And yeah, also let me know if you like any of the fragrances that I featured here in the green notes section of the video. So let's move on to the next and final note. We're talking about Neroli and Orange Blossom. Yep. It's got to be here. Spring is when I smell the gorgeous blossoms of the orange tree, or the bitter orange tree in this case, because that's where they pull it from in perfumery. And such an intoxicating smell. One of my favorite things ever as far as smell goes on the earth, the orange blossoms. It doesn't necessarily have to be just orange blossoms, because my mom has blood orange trees and also lemon trees, and those have amazing blossoms as well. I just love those when they're blooming and they have such amazing fragrance. But I have to put them here at number 1 because it's the quintessential spring note, I think. So Neroli and Orange Blossom, and we're going to start off with something a bit more complex here at number, well, it's not a ranked list of fragrances, it's more ranking the notes, as I said. It is a number 1 note, but the fragrances here are not ranked, but we are starting off number 1 at the first place here with something a bit more substantial. It is Safran-Néroli from Effinescence, for a super unique fragrance that's quite unusually amazing smelling. And as I said, this is a bit more substantial, so it's not a freshie, but very, very unique. It's sweet, it's creamy, it's a bit leathery, it's a bit metallic. There's also tea, and you've got this amazing combo of neroli and saffron together. It's like one of the most unique fragrances I've smelled. This to me is almost as truly original as a smell as I find in Beach Hut Man. I mean, there's a lot of fragrances out there in the world that remind me of one another. Beach Hut Man, I smelled anything that's similar to that. This Saffron Neroli, I haven't smelled anything similar to this. Nothing. It's truly very original, true to my nose. Like, so unique too. I love it. It is a bit more complex. It's a bit more deeper. But you can get away with wearing it in the spring. Just use 1 spray or 2 sprays. I'll use 5 sprays because I love this smell. Saffron Neroli from the House of Effinescence as the first fragrance in the number 1 note of Neroli Orange Blossom. Let's move on to Ex Nihilo's Blue Talisman. How's the extrait of this, by the way? Should I get that? I won't wait as long to get how long I waited to get Blue Talisman, the original. The extrait, is it good? Let me know. But the original I find to be super sexy. And once again, just like Baccarat Rouge, I didn't give this one. I thought, you know what, this is stupid. Why is everybody going gaga over this plain Jane fragrance? But it just grew on me. I kept smelling it, and I would ask what they're wearing. And it's like, oh, Blue Talisman. Really? That was a boring scent when I smelled it. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking or super original, but I think the ingredients they use in here are somewhat like they do something to your sense of smell. You keep wanting to smell it or something. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, because otherwise it's just very like I don't know what it is. It's like nothing groundbreaking. I've smelled things like this, but the way they've composed it, or maybe they're throwing in some ingredients or notes in here that really kind of pull you in and make you want to keep smelling it, or I don't know. But I think it's aromatic notes. It's for sure, you know, you've got the neroli orange blossom situation happening. There's also like light fruity notes, and they call it Blue Talisman, so it kind of nicely placed in that blue category of fragrances. But to me, it doesn't smell blue. It's just a fresh fragrance, fruity and floral, just like Ex Nihilo's used to doing. They do a lot of fruity florals. But again, it's very addicting. I just love the way it smells. So that is Blue Talisman from Ex Nihilo. Let me know your thoughts. Are you a fan? Let's move on to BDK's Villa Neroli next. Are you a fan of Villa Neroli? In my notes, I wrote down the wrong name. I wrote down Villa Riviera. That kind of rhymes, but that's not the name of this fragrance. It's Villa Neroli. Villa Neroli is a neroli-focused fragrance that gets warmer as you're smelling it or as you're wearing it. Beneath it all, there is some warmth, so it does get a little bit more complex. It's not a super freshy is what I'm trying to say. And I feel like it's kind of giving me a slight bit of the idea of Love Don't Be Shy, because it does get warm. So it sweetens up and becomes ambery in the base. I wouldn't say this goes super 100% close to reminding you of Love Don't Be Shy, but it does have those kind of qualities. But it starts off very fresh, and I love the way the smell is. I mean, as I was saying, neroli orange blossom, I just think orange blossom is one of the best ingredients for spring. In fact, I think it's one of the best ingredients in perfumery, hands down, one of the top. And I grew up not only with the trees, but also consuming the product, because it's used in delicacies in the Mediterranean. And so not only am I used to the flavor of it, I love the smell of it. So I just think it's an awesome scent. And here, it gives me kind of a best of both worlds. The fresh side of neroli and also the more gourmand side of neroli orange blossom, which the fragrance develops into, I think. So Villa Neroli from BDK, a great offering from that house. We're going to the house of Maison Crivelli next. It's Neroli Nasimba. This is a super, this is also kind of similar to Villa Neroli, that it doesn't get gourmand, it gets more leathery as it's drying down. So it's getting complex, and it starts off quite fresh and floral, and that's exactly what you have with the neroli note. It's a floral note. It's a flower. It's the citrus flower, and so it's quite fresh up top, but it gets a bit daring because the leather is a bit animalic. So you've got this beautiful start and a bit of a beastly ending. So I feel like it's kind of like the Beauty and the Beast situation happening here. It might be it might be a bit of I think it's a bit more complex for a spring fragrance. And again, as I said, there's no rules, wear what you want. But I'm just giving you a heads up that this might get a bit more complex as you're wearing it. And it might be a bit challenging for warmer spring days. I don't have a problem with it myself, but just warning you guys. But I like that something pretty develops to something a bit more with a roar. But I think that's post Iris Molicon. This is one of my favorite offerings from this house in the clear bottles that are EDP concentration. So that's Neroli Nisimba. And then we've got a fragrance called Neroli Amara from Van Cleef & Arpels. This is a Quantum Biche offering. I said earlier with the green tea fragrance from Prode, does remind me a little bit of this, by the way. To me, imagine Fleur Narcotique from Ex Nihilo going into the Neroli direction. So they're removing the pear. I think it has pear. It is pear, right? And replacing it with a fruity Neroli. And that's what you have here with this. One of my favorites from Van Cleef & Arpels. It's super awesome. There is a Parfum edition of this one. I haven't got my nose on it, sadly. Let's see if I can find it discounted sometime soon when I visit France. I'm hoping to get my hands on the 4 new classic Van Cleef & Arpels fragrances that were part of their signature fragrances, like Czar and Pour Homme and Van Cleef and that one last one. But they're priced so high. I haven't seen them make it their way to the States yet. But if they're priced at around 300 euros in Europe for 100 ml, they're going to be priced high here too. So anyway, but if you are a fan of Quantum Biche and you like fragrances like Fleur Narcotique, you've never tried Neroli Amara, you've got to get your nose on this. It's quite good. It's great for spring too. I love that for spring. Then we're going to the house of Les Eaux Primordiales once again. It's Neroli Super Critique. So the brand has these white bottle fragrances, or I should say more like bone color. Those are mostly floral focused fragrances. And the Super Critique line tends to have a subtle creaminess in the fragrances. There's a super smooth creaminess under it. So this is Neroli, but it's almost like Neroli and milk. I think the base might be a bit sandalwoody creamy, but out of all the Neroli fragrances here, this one is super original as far as smell goes. It doesn't remind me of anything that I've smelled. But what I like about it, it has that kind of thick, milky, dense texture, which I'm assuming is coming from the sandalwoody note that's in the base. I like that kind of milkiness. It's almost like milk flowers. It's soft and kind of like a marshmallow fluffy. That's Neroli Super Critique from the house of Les Eaux Primordiales. Up next, we're going to the house of Guerlain. This is Nerolia Vetiver. So originally, I decided to put Forte Nerolia Vetiver. I decided to take that out because I think the Forte might be discontinued. Maybe not, but I felt like it was a bit too strong and honeyed for spring. But the original Nerolia Vetiver, which I spoke about in a video yesterday, found some awesome discounts, like the 120 ml bottle for 50 bucks. The refill, 200 ml refill also for 50 bucks. This is a refillable bottle. Yep, it's right. I didn't open it up in the video yesterday, but those are great prices. And if you're in the market, I'll tag the products here. What I like about this one, it's Neroli. Once again, you've got the beautiful, slight feminine side of the Neroli, and on the other side, you've got the masculine side of the Vetiver. And it basically balances out the fragrance and makes it quite unisex. And the Vetiver is also grassy, not super dense and rooty, earthy. So it's easier to wear. It's not going to weigh you down. You've got that luscious beautiful smell of the Neroli in here with the aromatic woodiness of the grassiness of the Vetiver. There might be some slight sweetness thrown in, maybe a little bit of musk thrown in as well. But it's super cozy. I love that. It's really, really awesome. The Forte edition of this, they have taken it to a bit more of a honey direction, but I really love that. Get it for the deal if you can find it for the deal, because I think it's totally worth it for 50 bucks for 100. It's 125 ml. And again, this is a refillable bottle. The refill for 200 ml was also 50 bucks. Hopefully they still have product left if you didn't catch my video from yesterday. But always stay on alert for my deals videos. I'll be doing those at least once a week going forward. So I'll highlight some fragrances that I find online for great prices and, you know, put them in a video. But the next fragrance, and second to the last fragrance, I'm talking about Frederic Malle's Cologne Indelible. Cologne Indelible, another Dominique Ropion offering, and a truly gorgeous take on, like a beefy take on something like 4711, Neroli Portofino, things like that. It's the old school cologne, you know, modernized and beefed up by Dominique Ropion. So citrus flowers like Neroli, orange blossom, citrus leaves. It's quite soapy, it's clean, it's happy and uplifting. I always find citruses to be very happy and uplifting and very spring-like, because you have the smell of the flowers here, you have the leaves. It's just beautifully done here by master perfumer Dominique Ropion. Also, I like the longevity of this one. It's not like a wimp. It doesn't fade away that fast. He does great work, Dominique Ropion. I mean, he does some bad work too. I don't care for all of his stuff, but I think 7 out of 10 of his creations I enjoy. Well, I should say 6, not 7. But Cologne Indelible is top-notch. Neroli Orange Blossom focused offering. And the last fragrance and the last and number 1 spring note is Essential Parfums Neroli Botanica. This is a refill bottle. Everybody's doing refill bottles now. And don't forget, we have 2-for-1 deals in our store for Essential Parfums fragrances. This is a gorgeous offering from Anne Flippo once again. Anne Flippo is a perfumer at IFF with Dominique. I mean, they work in the same firm. I don't know if they work next to each other. I think she does great work with white flowers, and we mentioned synthetic nature. It's got white flowers, and it's got green flowers actually, but also with the fragrance from Rain de Saba, Rain Maqueta, also had orange blossom in it. It had probably other white flowers, but lots of musks and iris and things like that. So she has a great style with flowers. I mean, she also did, I think, is it Temp Fluo for Nichane? That's also kind of a white floral thing. She actually redid Angel and called it Angel Elixir. I mean, she didn't call it Angel Elixir. That was a disappointment because I think nobody really cared for it because everybody was used to what Angel smelled like, and Angel Elixir smelled like nothing like it. So I think that fell flat on its face, but that was also a floral offering. I think what I'm talking about here with her fragrances, including Neroli Botanica, really awesome work by her. But Neroli Botanica is, you know, gorgeous Neroli, super fresh. It's a bit musky, but super bright. A little bit green. Not like super ripened orange blossom and Neroli. But a bit creamy, somewhat musk. Nicely done. That is Neroli Botanica from the House of Essential Parfums. And that's the last fragrance for you guys today in the final #1 note for spring called Neroli Orange Blossom. I find, like I said, Neroli Orange Blossom quintessentially this spring note. Because it's out there. You can smell it. We can walk by them. As long as you're walking by an orange tree or something, you're going to smell the beautiful orange blossoms. and super intoxicating. So I had to feature that at number 1. But let me know your thoughts on the Neroli Orange Blossom fragrances I featured here. Do you like them? Do you hate them? And if you were to put this list together, what would you add to this list? Let me know some other options that you have. But that's pretty much it for today's video. My voice is actually changing, so I gotta end the video now and head home and make some hot tea so I can get back to normal with my voice. But thanks so much for watching today's video. I do appreciate it. Hopefully by next week I'll be back to normal, because this thing is dragging. So it's a bad flu. I mean, it's just really long dragging. I kind of made myself do this video today, but I did not feel like doing it. So I'm glad I made it through, but I had to pause the video a few times because it was a bit difficult. But thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Add a comment below. I do have the list of fragrances, as I said. They're also tagged by product. And if I find the product, I'll tag the best, pricing options for each of the products, so you can take advantage of getting them if you like the sound of the fragrances that I'm talking about. Last, I do want to ask you guys, any specific deep dive ideas you want me to tackle. If you do have anything in mind, let me know what it is. Do add a comment below. And last but not least, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Do add that and click on that bell icon. Please like the video so it will help the video get out to a lot more people. And don't forget to head over to the Perfume Guy Shorts channel as well. I have it linked in the info box, so you can subscribe to that channel there as well. I think I'm now over the 800 subscriber mark there. I'm waiting for the 1,000, so help me get there soon, and I'll start posting content there. So originally I had thought that you can link from one channel to the other. You can't. So what I'm going to have to do is somehow figure out a way to, pin a link to some of the videos that the shorts might be related to. But again, I'm working on a big project. I have to do a channel updates video. I can't do it until this project is going to be announced. So stay tuned for that very soon. And then I will mention some of the details as to why I'm moving the shorts to another channel. And once I'm completely done with all interview style, chat style videos with brands, I'm also going to move those off the channel as well. I know some of you really love those types of videos, but the majority of the subscribers do not like them. And when I look at the analytics, I get unsubscribes when I air those videos versus anything that's a list or something. So anyway, more to come later. I appreciate you tuning in today, and stay tuned for the big announcement of this project I've been working on, and stay tuned for a lot more videos very soon. Stay tuned for more videos from late last year, autumn and winter, as I do have to air some still. But hopefully once I'm back on track with this flu, my voice gets better, I can start shooting more current, content. See you guys later. Bye-bye.